A Town Square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Glad to have you on board the show today. Well, I am man enough to admit when I'm wrong. I can't speak for everybody else in the world, but I can speak for myself. I am shocked, absolutely blown away that the 76ers won that game last night. But apparently, my shock and awe is not shared by everybody. With all that coming up on the show, crazy Sixers win last night. Like I said, I'm shocked they won the game, and how they did it as well is even bigger news. Also, Phillies in spring training, the defense still stinks. Apparently, they can't do anything simple down there in spring training. So we'll talk with Frank Klose about what's going on with the Phillies, because it looks like that they are literally just going in for this all offense, no defense approach. So Phillies beat writer Frank Klose from 97.3 ESPN.com does the Phillies mailbag each and every week. We'll touch on the mailbag coming up in about 20 minutes from now with Frank, and we'll ask him about the Phillies. Bryan Toporek from the NBA podcast, also national NBA writer for Forbes Sports, will join us coming up at 3:25 to get into the Sixers, the Eastern Conference, and more. A lot to get to on the NBA front, which is a couple weeks away from the start of the NBA playoffs. Football at 4 today. Jason Avant, former Eagles wide receiver, will join us coming up at 4 p.m. today. Pete Thompson will be joining us for Tuesday with Thompson. And then at 5:25, Associated Press NFL writer Rob Maaddi. Rob Maaddi also does some coverage of baseball for the last 20 years as well. So we got a lot to touch on throughout the show today. And as always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 is the text board at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. Also, later in the show, we will tell you about tickets you can win tomorrow on the Sports Bash. So keep it tuned today and tomorrow for more details. Exclusive tickets before they go on sale. You can win them here on 97.3 ESPN on the Sports Bash. All right, before we get to anything else, I got to get to the Sixers game last night, because I am still in shock that this team won last night. Absolutely in shock. And I guess I should be proud of them for winning the game last night. But I'm a little conflicted, because on one hand, I feel like this team should have won the Raptors game. You have a 16-point lead. Last night, you're shorthanded without the presumptive league MVP this year, the former league MVP a few years ago. You go out there, Korkmaz goes off last night. I mean, where the heck has that been? You're led basically in scoring by Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton. He didn't get a lot from Tobias Harris, honestly. But the biggest thing from last night was two things. One, the Sixers were the better shooting team. They had 15 threes last night. So they had a better shooting percentage from three and from the field than Miami. So they did better. Also, also, they forced the Heat in the turnovers that's really not like them. And the bigger thing, they out-rebounded them. No Embiid, no Harden. Embiid and Harden have been two of your top four rebounders since the Harden trade. Neither one of them on the floor. You out-rebound Miami. Miami with Bam Adebayo, with PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler, out-rebounded them. 45-34. Never expected that in my life. It's honestly is one of the craziest games I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It really felt like the Miami Heat thought that they had an easy game and didn't try half the game. And by the time they started trying, it was almost too late. And it's not like outside of Maxey and Shake, anybody on that court last night for the Sixers had an amazing game. I mean, Paul Millsap was forgettable. The guy played 20-some minutes and had 5 points and 4 rebounds. Matisse Thybulle, nothing really to write home about. He had 5 points in, 16 minutes? The two guys coming off the bench were Milton and Korkmaz. Korkmaz has played like garbage for about a couple months now. And all of a sudden, he goes in there and just bombs away 4 for 7 from 3. Even Doc Rivers said after the game that when he called for Korkmaz off the bench first, his coaches looked at him like he was nuts. Well, Doc Rivers pressed the right button last night, that's for sure. Now, how about Shake Milton? 20 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds for a guy whose role has been greatly diminished over the last several months. Look, last night doesn't answer any questions about the big man situation. I feel like you have less answers than ever after last night. But what we did learn is that when push comes to shove, Maxey and there are other guys who can step up for this team. When push comes to shove, this team has heart. When push comes to shove, this team is more than just Embiid and Harden. The problem is that after last night, you need to see this more frequently. ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler this morning on Keyshawn, J-Will, and Max here on 97.3 ESPN.
Look, Maxey was incredible. And if they want to do anything in the postseason, Tyrese Maxey has to be included more like that level. Look at the game before that. They played Toronto. They lose at home. Tyrese Maxey takes one meaningless shot in the fourth quarter, an uncontested dunk with 8 seconds left. That's the only shot he took in the entire fourth quarter. You see what he's capable of. So I don't take anything out of last night.
Legler's got a good point. And this is where I agree with him. Last night, you can't read much into it because last night, the Miami Heat didn't give you their best shot. And you didn't give Miami their best shot. So you can't dig too deep into that. But what you can do from last night is this. What you can go with from last night is you can look at the Sixers and say, Maxey is more important than we were previously willing to admit. You know, all of our conversations have been about Harden and Embiid, and for good reason. They're two of the top 10 players in the league. But I told you guys yesterday, Harden has to be more of a guy who creates for his teammates because he has shown you that he is able to be a point guard. He is able to be a facilitator. And you saw last night when they were possessions with Milton and Maxey or Milton and Korkmaz, what happened? Milton and Korkmaz combined for 8 assists last night. And part of that was because they were pushing the ball into Maxey's hands. Tobias Harris, 6 assists last night, pushing the ball into Maxey's hands. These guys understand who Maxey is. Maxey is the third guy on this team. And when Embiid and Harden aren't there, he's going to fill that void. Now, I didn't expect Milton and Korkmaz to step up the way they did. I was hoping Tobias to give you a little bit more, but Tobias was okay. What Tobias contributed last night was the thing that I've been crying about for months now, which is the rebounds. Tobias was tied for the team lead last night with 8 rebounds. The other guy was DeAndre Jordan. This team is, as I said yesterday, and I've said this a million times, they're one of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA. To me, unless Tobias Harris can continuously give you the rebounding that he gave you last night, he's borderline useless to this team moving forward. The fact that his greatest value at this point for Tobias Harris is as a locker room guy and as a leader is not acceptable to me. It's just not. Tobias Harris had a stretch last season where he had 30 games where he had at least 20 points and 8 rebounds in every single one of those games. The Sixers won 24 of those 30 games last year. There's a formula for this team, and it's Tobias being a guy who crashes the boards, hits a couple threes, and scores points for you. And he has been unable to be that guy this year. Even before Harden got here, there are a ton of games this year that Tobias, for all intents and purposes, has failed this team. Last year, Tobias should have been an all-star. Instead, it was Julius Randle. This year, he's the furthest thing from an all-star he was last year. Now, I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if he's dealing with some personal problems. I don't know what it is. But Tobias has only a handful of games where he's been a very good rebounder. He has had double-digit rebounds 8 games this year. 8. That's nothing. He had double-digit rebounds in 30 last year, and he has 8 this year. How did that happen? I don't get the Tobias Harris fall from grace. It's not like he's old. It's not like he has a major injury. The guy's 29 years old. He's supposed to be in the prime of his career, and it just feels like he's letting this team down. And then last night, he goes out there and gets you 8 rebounds. How does that happen? So, to me, last night, like Legler said, it was a bit of an anomaly. It was one of those deals where it's like, all right, whatever. Good win for the young guys, but it doesn't really tell you the bigger picture for this team. Tobias Harris is still who he is. He's still a guy who's averaging the fewest points per game of his career in about 6-7 years. Tobias Harris has not been consistently getting rebounds for you. He's not been consistently hitting three-pointers. In fact, it's his worst three-point shooting in about 4 years. Last night was about Maxey, Milton, and Korkmaz. And somehow DeAndre Jordan was able to pour in 20-some minutes. And the Miami Heat played like garbage. I think last night was a disappointment because Embiid and Harden weren't out there. But I can't get too excited or too down on this team because they won the game last night. I'm shocked and surprised, and I was wrong. I thought Miami's going to come in there and just blast them. I thought Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, the 6th man of the year candidate, Duncan Robinson. I thought these guys would just go to town on them. Yet the Sixers had more threes than they did. The Heat shot 30% from 3 last night. Sixers shot 40%. Kyle Lowry was the only legitimate three-point shooter for that team last night. Tyler Hero couldn't hit a 3. Jimmy Butler couldn't hit a 3. PJ Tucker couldn't hit a 3. Duncan Robinson went 2 for 6. I felt like Kyle Lowry's the only guy who came to play last night for Miami, honestly, for the whole game. He was fighting tooth and nail that game last night. It was like everybody else came in sleepwalking. It's like they assumed they were going to beat this team instead of coming in with a beatdown. When they played Miami last time, Miami's mentality was completely different. Miami's mentality was, you're coming into our house, we're going to smash you in the face. That was the mentality in the last game in Miami. I'll never forget that Miami game because Miami, they didn't do it with shooting. They did it with just pure physicality. They just took it to the Sixers. They hit the boards. They drove to the basket. They got fouled. They got the Sixers in the foul trouble. They just played harder than the Sixers, and they were saying, we are the more physical team. Last night, the Sixers flipped the script. So it's a very strange predicament to be in. Like I said, I'll admit when I'm wrong. I thought Miami was coming here and smash them. Didn't happen. And now you got to wonder for the Sixers moving forward, does this translate at all for this team? Is there anything that can be taken from this game? I don't think so. I kind of have to agree with Legler. Because now you're going on this road trip. You're going to play both LA teams, and then you go into Phoenix before you come home for one game. Then you hit the road, come home, hit the road again for 3 more. You had a home stretch where you win 2 out of 3. But the one game, almost nobody of significant played except for Maxey and Harris. Now you got to go on the road for a completely different set of dynamics. LeBron James had one of the greatest games of his life last night. It's not just the triple-double. It's the way he got the triple-double. Just force of nature domination. Then you got to play a scrappy Clippers team on Friday night. Then you got to go up against Phoenix, who's one of the best teams, the best team in the NBA. And oh, by the way, you come home Tuesday to play the Bucks. Good luck with that. So this is a really tough stretch for them. I just don't know what can be taken from this game to parlay forward. Josh Hennig filling from Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Of course, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app or join the conversation at 609-403-0973 on the text board. We'll get to the Eagles and the NFL a little bit later in the show as well because, you know, the aftermath of the Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson thing is still reeling because apparently the Panthers have no interest in Baker Mayfield. And we'll get to the Phillies with Frank Klose in just a bit, but I got to get to this NFL stuff because we'll dig deeper in the Eagles specifically with Jason Avant, former Eagles wide receiver, coming up at 4 p.m. But in the aftermath of what we were discussing yesterday, this story about how Deshaun Watson didn't want to come to Philadelphia because he didn't want to take Jalen Hurts' job away from him. I don't know if we should applaud him or we should give him a thumbs down. I don't know what we do with him because I understand that they are professional friends. They both have the same quarterback coach. You know, they both kind of have vibe on the same frequency and all that stuff. They're kind of coworkers, but what does that say about the Eagles? That Watson thinks that this should be Hurts' team and he didn't want to take that job from him. Now this conversation spins from it being anti-Eagles, Watson doesn't want to come to Philadelphia, to, well, Watson didn't want to take Jalen Hurts' job. Because now we're seeing in Houston that for an all intents and purposes, they're committed to Davis Mills. They didn't want Baker Mayfield. They don't want Jimmy G. They don't want Matt Ryan. They don't want Sam Darnold. They didn't want Carson Wentz. They want Davis Mills. Did Deshaun Watson know this? Did Watson know that the Texans didn't want to bring in another quarterback? He had to. Because for him to spin it and say, well, I don't want to take Hurts' job away from him, and for other teams to be interested in quarterbacks, but not Houston at all, either Houston is more dysfunctional than we realized, or Deshaun Watson knows something the rest of us don't. Read into that what you will. But this whole thing, it's a little wacky. It's a little bit weird. And now the news comes out. Diana Rossini of ESPN reported about 20 minutes ago, just before I came on the air, that the Panthers have no interest in Baker Mayfield. So what, you got to bring Sam Darnold back, PJ Walker, and draft a quarterback? I thought Matt Rule was trying to turn that program around. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's second coming of anything. I'm just saying that Baker Mayfield's better than what you got. And unless they think they can land Jimmy Garoppolo, you might as well write the Panthers off as another, 8-9, 9-8 team, 7-10 team next year. That's not a team that's contending for the division next year. They'll be a competitive, hardworking team because of who the coaches and the players are, but they're not winning the division. Now with Sam Darnold and PJ Walker at quarterback, now with Christian McCaffrey who can't stay healthy, the NFL is in a weird situation right now with quarterbacks. Now I'm starting to be very suspicious about a lot of stuff in the NFL. Something's not adding up. Something we don't know about these quarterbacks. All right, coming up next, Frank Klose will join us, talk about the Phillies. Sir Anthony Dominguez struck out the side. It's a good thing he did because it seems like the Phillies defense is still failing them miserably. Let's Frank Klose about that as well, getting the Phillies mailbag on the other side. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here in the Map Black Kia studios on 97.3 ESPN FM, and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app is free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City.
From the first four to the final four. Listen to the NCAA tournament on 97.3 ESPN.
Made a new home remodeling, helping make your dreams a reality.
What does the perfect bathroom look like to you? Does it have a large, sleek shower? Or maybe a deep, relaxing soaking tub? Hi, I'm Brian from Made a New Home Remodeling. We love helping homeowners transform their bathrooms into spaces that bring them joy and relaxation. If you're looking to freshen things up, please contact us through madeanewhomeremodeling.com.
Any supplier can drop a box outside your door. But if you want a partner who delivers great customer service too, rely on Cintas. Your dedicated service reps can deliver what you need to help your business run smoothly. From essential cleaning products to hygienically cleaned apparel, fire protection services to first aid and safety supplies. That service you can't get from a box.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save money at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Replace your old wiper blades with a new pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10 now at O'Reilly. Our professional parts people will even install them for free. See better and drive safer with new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts, in-store or online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Stop junk sleep before it spirals out of control. For a limited time, visit Mattress Firm and get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen bed for the price of a twin. Save up to $500 and get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. You can't put a price on good sleep, but it's better on sale. Unjunk your sleep. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com today.
When was the last time everyone agreed on what's for dinner? You want ramen, they want pizza. Thankfully, there's something for everyone on the DoorDash app. For a limited time, get 50% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code ORDERNOW50. That's 50% off up to a $12 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you enter promo code ORDERNOW50. That's promo code ORDERNOW50. Subject to change, terms apply. Get more from your neighborhood.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait. They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
In business, you need connections. Now you can connect with unprecedented access to the nation's largest delivery network. Introducing USPS Connect. You want reach? We go there. You want easy? We make returns simple. You want fast? We deliver same day. Move your business forward with the United States Postal Service. Let's connect at USPSconnect.com. Specific markets, restrictions apply. Same day expected with entry close to final destination.
It's that time of year again. Wanderlust sets in, and you feel it in your bones. It's time to hit the road, but not before you hit Parkview RV with their incredible 2.5-acre expansion. 8 acres of the hottest names in recreational vehicles. Northern Light, Salem, Durango, Forest River, Columbus, Winnebago, Lance, Thor, and many more. And featuring the new A-Liner, the newest look in RVs. Sleek, contemporary. And yours for just over $100 a month. That's right, just over $100 a month. With the low prices Parkview RV is famous for on an amazing selection of new and pre-owned motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, towables, truck campers, and pop-ups. The selection is unprecedented, and so are the savings at Parkview RV, the largest RV dealer on the peninsula and in the entire tri-state area. Spring is in the air, so check out Parkview RV, Route 13 in North Smyrna, across from Delaware's only rest area. Parkview RV, home of the great deal. Based on 180 months and 5.99% APR.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash, being brought to you by AC Airport. Plan your spring break getaway now. Create memories that last a lifetime. Start with nonstop flights from Atlantic City to Cancun, San Juan, and Miami. Book your low-cost flight today at spirit.com. Well, Phillies are in spring training. That's the good news. The bad news is they still can't play defense. So they get into that and more right now. Frank Klose from 97.3 ESPN.com. The Phillies mailbag is now live. And, of course, you can hit up Frank each every week at Frank Klose. That's with a K on Twitter. He joins us right now in his Tuesday segment here on 97.3 ESPN. Frank, how you doing today?
Great to talk to you, Josh. I'm great.
So, good news is Sir Anthony Dominguez struck out the side because apparently this team still can't play defense. That's where I want to start, Frank. You know, not this specific question, but just like how does this team, or how are they going to rationalize? Because right now, if we're talking about it, it's not going to get better unless something significantly changes. You know, Schwarber, Castellanos, these guys are not like some great fielding upgrades. So how is this team going to rationalize when May, June, July come around and they're still talking about defense as we are?
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, the Phillies were, I believe it was, don't quote me because I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 56 negative defensive runs saved. That means the defense cost them 56 runs last year. And compared to some of the leaders, they were about 80-some runs behind. So basically, that means every other game, they were essentially a run behind the people that were leading the league. So that is going to be a problem. So I suppose the question will be, can you hit an extra run a game with this offense? I think the answer to that is probably, but I think you're hoping to get some gains in your defense. Alec Boehm probably is better than he was last year. You know, I believe the adage of someone taking their at-bats into the field is a real thing. You know, when somebody is not mentally in the game because they're struggling at the plate, that might be when they make their defensive miscues. Now, I know that there's no exact science to that. You know, maybe the psychology behind that suggests that when you're off kilter in one area of focus, you're off of the other. So I'm hoping that Alec Boehm will be better at third. And Didi Gregorius, he had some surgery to kind of clean out some of those crystals accumulating in his elbow, which are very, very painful, which I can certainly understand why he would not have the range. So if Didi improves from last year, that's a big bonus. I thought he was good enough in 2020. I thought Alec Boehm was good enough in not spectacular, but good enough in 2020. And then when you realize you've got on the bench Johan Camargo, they got him to be a solid defender who can come in and play the infield very, very well as an option. Bryson Stott is waiting in the wings. His defense could make him the roster and provide some defense to the team. And since they're going with that left-right platoon in center field, who I bet you whoever is not in the game that day as part of the platoon probably comes in the 7th or 8th inning to be some defense in left field. And I think also you won't see Schwarber and Castellanos in the field at the same time a whole lot.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I'm assuming Harper's going to play as many games in right field as possible, right, Frank? I mean, I'm not expecting a bunch of games where, Schwarber's in left, Castellanos is in right, let's say. But Frank, you just mentioned the split, the Herrera Vierling. Herrera is not exactly some great center fielder either. This isn't like you had Shane Victorino back in center field back in the day with the Phillies or fill in the blank guy over the years. The Phillies have a history of having defensive center fielders. Now that they don't, it kind of feels like it makes the whole defensive situation more of an eyesore.
I agree. I was kind of surprised they went that route as opposed to some of the other minor league free agents that were out there, like a Delino DeShields or somebody like that. But, the Phillies are going to have some options in center field down the line if he does not work out. So far, it's really early. Now, Simone Muzioti, a lot of fans don't know his name. He's on the 40-man roster now, but he was somebody that they picked up as an international free agent after the Red Sox contract was voided several years back. He had some visa issues last year, never really got off the ground, but I like what I see from him so far. And also Rojas, their center field prospect, also looks very good so far. Both of them might be hanging in and around Reading this year, maybe high A, Jersey Shore, but they're not that far away. Once you're on the 40-man roster, you exist as an option. And certainly if down the stretch or even at the trade deadline, they can't get that defense in center, they'll do something about it. I really think that the rationale behind Herrera was that they just simply didn't have the assets to trade for somebody better. And so at least he was cheap, so then you would turn your attention back to Herrera there, just so you had some money to free up for other spots on your roster, which of course allowed them to sign Castellanos and Schwarber. So I'm not going to lie, the defense is a little bit worrisome, but you can kind of hope that they can mix and match accordingly. For example, I would want to see when Zach Eflin is on the mound, I would love to see Johan Camargo playing third base that day. Or, if Bryson Stott fights his way onto the team, maybe Didi's a good defensive option at third base. There's a lot to be seen in the infield, but down in the line in center field, Johan Rojas, Simone Muzioti, I do like what I see there.
Frank Klose joining us here, Phillies writer over at 97.3 ESPN.com, our insider, giving us the latest on the Phils. Frank, let's get into your mailbag. Not all the questions. You want folks to see all your answers over at 97.3 ESPN.com, but I thought the first question was very poignant because John asked you, is Joe Girardi's job on the line? And Frank, to me, it's a great question because not just because of the contract situation, but we're talking about defense right now. All Girardi can do is play with the guys he's given for the roster, right? It's not like Girardi can, snap his fingers and create something new out there. So if Dombrowski gives him a flawed roster, then doesn't that make his job more difficult?
To that question, I would say absolutely it was more difficult. I think it was more difficult last year and the year before that with incomplete rosters. I think, the Phillies would have made the playoffs down the stretch if they had just a little bit more offense, because Rhys Hoskins got hurt. Then you overplayed JT Realmuto. Alec Boehm fell apart, and then he just had nothing to work with from the right side. So, I think that this year, with the addition of those two, there really is no excuse for this Phillies team not making a 12-team playoff. The Phillies have enough. The question will be, will he take them there or not? And it doesn't really come back to that contract stuff because Joe Girardi is in the third year of a 3-year deal. There was a contract option. The Phillies have not picked it up yet. So if they haven't picked it up, they're basically saying, okay, Joe, you need to make the playoffs. So I think if this Phillies team does not make the playoffs, barring some wild, unforeseen disaster that's well out of everybody else's control, then I think he's going to have to take the fall. One thing, too, they gave him his hitting coach this year, right? So Kevin Long was Joe Girardi's old hitting coach with the Yankees, was a an expensive coach in terms of what coaches get paid. They lured him away from the Nationals. Joe's got his offensive players. He's got his hitting coach. He should have enough that they are committed to a very decent starting 5 rotation. He's got to make the playoffs. And it'd be really easy to see the Phillies let him walk away if he does not, given all that's here and all that's at stake. And let's not forget, they're going over the luxury tax threshold for the first time ever. If you can't get a team that's over the luxury tax to the playoffs, then usually you make a change.
You mentioned the hitting coach. How much of a difference can he make? Like, is this a guy that, because, you know, we've heard stories before in baseball about how, like, hitting or pitching coaches, there's certain ones of them that really do make a difference and others not so much. So is this guy going to make that much of a difference in your mind?
I think he'll make enough. You know, the Phillies have had this back and forth with so many hitting coaches the last few years. You know, first John Maley, then they had Charlie Manuel for a while, right? And then, you know, the irony is the Phillies just dismissed Long's former assistant hitting coach to bring in Long. But I think this sends a message that it's time to get it right. And I think that in terms of hitting, Kevin Long is very well respected. He was credited as kind of fixing Kyle Schwarber's swing with the Nationals. He worked with Alec Boehm before the shutdown, and a couple of the other guys in Clearwater. You know, I think there's going to be a comfort level there that just hasn't been there. It's felt like such a turnstile of a position the last few years that if you're the players, if you're a young guy like Alec Boehm, I can see that being kind of unnerving. I think the vets did fine. You know, the Bryce Harpers of the world do fine from hitting coach to hitting coach. But I think the Alec Boehms of the world, the Bryson Stotts coming up, they need to feel a sense of stability, and they need the sense of credibility. You know, because for a lot of them, they're like, oh, well, yeah, this guy's going to tell me to do this, and then 2 years later, he's going to be out the door, and then I'm on to the next guy, right? So I think there's a real message being sent here that they got the best guy possible, even lured him away from the Nationals, who invited him back, by the way. You know, he was not fired by the Nationals. The Phillies just recruited him away. So I think this sends a different message to the young guys in this lineup. I think the vets, for the most part, you don't need to worry about them so much. Young guys, credibility makes a difference.
One of the other questions on the mailbag is interesting, Frank. Someone asked you about Mickey Moniak. And, you know, the question was from Chris, can we close the book on Moniak? And I want to expand that. If you close the book on Moniak, who's the next guy we need to talk about closing the book on as well?
Well, one, we're getting close to the time where you close the book on Mickey Moniak, and Adam Hastley might not be far behind him. And the sad part about this is the two of them were the Phillies' 2 first-round draft picks in their 2 leanest years, right? So the Phillies were disastrous in 2015, so they got the first overall pick. They spent it on Moniak. They were 6th worst or maybe it was 7th. I apologize. I'm trying to remember which one it was the following year. And that netted them Adam Hastley. Both of them might not make it. I mean, right now, the way I look this roster play out, I don't think either of them are on it. And so that means they're going to be stashed at AAA. In case of an injury, they're on the 40-man roster. But you're going to reach the point where at some point you need some roster spots. And you're going to get to say, all right, if I need to give a roster spot down the line to somebody like Johan Rojas, well, he's got the bigger upside at that point. Bryson Stott's going to need a roster spot perhaps. And even old friend Scott Kingery, if he can emerge as a useful bench player, you might need a roster spot for him. And if all you can do is play decent defense and bat weakly from the left side, I don't think that's going to get you anything. And, you know, Moniak's sample size is smaller than Hastley's, but I think time's going to be running out soon for them to show that they can do something. And you know what? This front office is not married to them like the previous one might have been. They didn't put their first picks on the line with these 2 guys. They were somebody else's first-round picks. Dave Dombrowski is going to do whatever he needs to do to win. And if it is acknowledging a sunk cost that the previous administration spent, well, that's what you got to do.
You mentioned Kingery. What is going on with him? Like, is he a legitimate guy to make this team, or should the team just wash their hands of him? What's up with Kingery here?
they're paying Kingery a lot of money. So by virtue of that, he is going to have a chance to show that he belongs on the roster. Now, the math I do, looking at the number of bench spots and how many are left, the Phillies have essentially one bench spot left to work out. There's usually 5. One's going to be your designated hitter this year. One's going to be your backup catcher. One's going to be the other half of the center field platoon. And one's going to be Johan Camargo. So you have one spot. So you probably want that one spot to be somebody who can play defense at a bunch of positions, can have a little bit of speed in his game. And so to me, that describes either Luke Williams or Scott Kingery. I think that they're the two that are probably the better fits if you're looking for somebody for that final roster spot. Now, of course, guys get hurt, and you'll have plenty of players stashed at AAA, the Nick Matons, the Hasleys, the Moniacs probably, and even Williams if he's sent down, or Stott if he's waiting for a spot to come up. So that last spot is probably going to be your versatile glove, and I think that's what Scott Kingery is looking for right now. Remember, there's no pitcher batting anymore, so you don't need a relief pitcher hit for 3 times a game. So these bench spots are going to be focused defense first, and I think that's where he's going to find his place.
He's Frank Klose, our Phillies insider and beat writer over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Follow him on Twitter at Frank Klose, and make sure you catch him for the next Phillies mailbag. Check out all the questions right now at 97.3 ESPN.com, and you can ask a question before next week's mailbag, and we will discuss it right here on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Frank, appreciate you jumping on the conversation, and hopefully the Phillies figure out this defensive issue.
I think they'll do their best, but it's always good to talk to you, Josh.
Take care, Frank. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City. Coming up on the other side, we'll get some of your thoughts and comments on the text board, 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973 is the text board. And of course, you can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app, thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And on the other side, I will tell you about our ticket giveaway tomorrow, where you have a chance to win 3 pairs of tickets before they even go on sale for a show coming to Atlantic City. All that and more on the other side here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill on a Tuesday.
There's only one place for live sports and sports talk in South Jersey. Oh, yeah! Your sports station is 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing, approved credit excludes Corvette. It's time for March Markdowns at Bennett Chevrolet. All month long, Bennett's paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. No joke. You'll get at least $8,000 for any old rundown rot box. Just get it here for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. But this special offer is only during March Markdowns. Got a good trade? Bring it to Bennett. Hey, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett. Because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker. And there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early. Any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Bring it in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation. Just pure Bennett bliss. Because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
When was the last time everyone agreed on what's for dinner? You want ramen, they want pizza. Thankfully, there's something for everyone on the DoorDash app. For a limited time, get 50% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code ORDERNOW50. That's 50% off up to a $12 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you enter promo code ORDERNOW50. That's promo code ORDERNOW50. Subject to change, terms apply. Get more from your neighborhood.
March is for nets and bets. Place your college basketball bets at DraftKings Sportsbook at Resorts Casino Hotel. DraftKings Sportsbook is the ultimate sports betting experience with massive ultra-high-definition TVs, 18 betting kiosks, and great game day drink specials. From prop bets to live in-game betting, DraftKings Sportsbook has it all. Voted 2021 Best Overall Sportsbook. Call ahead for VIP reservations. Visit resortsac.com for more information. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Any supplier can drop a box outside your door. But if you want a partner who delivers great customer service too, rely on Cintas. Your dedicated service reps can deliver what you need to help your business run smoothly. From essential cleaning products to hygienically cleaned apparel, fire protection services to first aid and safety supplies. That service you can't get from a box.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
The number of people doing business online has skyrocketed since the pandemic hit last year. So it has never been more important than now to make sure your business can be found online. Town Square can help you find more local customers with premium website services to help you grow your business faster when you visit mylocalcustomers.com. Don't wait. Visit mylocalcustomers.com today to learn more about how Town Square can help you grow your business. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Stop junk sleep before it spirals out of control. For a limited time, visit Mattress Firm and get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen bed for the price of a twin. Save up to $500 and get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. You can't put a price on good sleep, but it's better on sale. Unjunk your sleep. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com today.
The NFL football season is over, and the winter of 2022 is coming to a close. We are rapidly moving toward two long-awaited dates. One, after February 26th, there are only 3 Saturdays left until spring, and on March 13th, we move our clocks ahead. Hi, Tom McAllister from McAllister the Service Company. These are annual milestones that set us on a path towards warmer weather and those hot summer days. Remember the end of last summer when you decided to put off upgrading your older, inefficient air conditioning system? Now's the perfect time to revisit that idea and take advantage of preseason discounts and also the rebates offered by the state and the utilities. Talk to the experts at McAllister at 609-927-4122 or at mcservice.com for all of your air conditioning and heating needs. At McAllister, you cannot control the weather. We can control your comfort.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. I mentioned earlier in the show, and with you guys' thoughts and texts, a few texts to get to at 609-403-0973 on the text board. You also could DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Tomorrow, I have pairs of tickets to give away. And you can get these tickets before they go on sale. Amy Schumer is coming to Ovation Hall at Ocean Resort Casino Saturday, August 6th. The award-winning comedian, director, actor. The tickets go on sale this Friday starting at 10 a.m. But thanks to Ocean Resort and the Sports Bash Show on 97.3 ESPN, you have a chance to win tickets tomorrow. So, tomorrow, you have a chance to win to go see Amy Schumer before the tickets ever go on sale. She's going to be at Ocean Resort Casino August 6th. Tickets go on sale this Friday. For more information, you can just head over to theoceanac.com. But if you want to win tickets tomorrow, keep listening to the Sports Bash right here on 97.3 ESPN FM for your chance to win tickets to go see Emmy Award-winning, Golden Globe-nominated stand-up comedian, actress, writer, producer, director Amy Schumer. She's coming to Ovation Hall Saturday, August 6th. All right, let's get to you guys. Thought the comments on the text board, 609-403-0973. Text chimes in, says, Phillies are no different than last year. Will league games blow them late? We blew almost 40 games last year and pump how many millions into ... the offense? Well, the only problem I have with that text, I appreciate you chiming in, Texter, is that that's a little disingenuous. They blew leads because of they had no closer. They've changed the bullpen. They added Corey Knebel. They added Jarius Familia. They added Brad Hand. So they brought in some guys who are legitimate guys. And if Anthony Dominguez can be anything as good as he was today in his spring training outing, this bullpen will be much better than last year. So to say they're no different than last year is unfair. Now, I will tell you the fact that they spent millions of dollars on the offense and not at all to fix the defense at all, I think is disheartening. I think it's unfair to the fans. Everyone and their cousin who's ever played baseball knows that you got to be able to field the ball to play in the field. You know, if you play Little League or Babe Ruth or whatever level you may have gotten up to, or high school baseball, and you're the guy who can't field, you know where they bury you? In the outfield, in left field. If you can field, you stay on the field more often. You get more playing time. If you can field and you can't hit, at least you have some value. But if you can hit and you can't field, you have fewer positions they can play you at. The Phillies are in a situation where they basically have 3, 4, 5 DHs. Castellanos, Schwarber, and Hoskins are probably more DH worthy than in the field worthy. So to say they're no different than last year and they're just going to blow games again, I think is unfair. The bullpen they did address. The problem is they didn't address the defense. So when you complain that they spent millions of dollars on the offense, I'm fine with you making that complaint. Just complain about the fact that they actually addressed the bullpen. They blew those games last year because they didn't have a closer, and the guy they acquired halfway through the season, Ian Kennedy, wasn't 100% better. It wasn't like Kennedy went out there and had some great, year when he got to the Phillies. I remember he gave up that home run the first outing he went out there for them. It was ridiculous. So I think the Phillies did make some improvements. All right, they did go out and try to address the bullpen. Now, I'm not going to say that all their additions are going to work. Brad Hand, he is what he is. He's a reliable left-handed guy. Knebel is more of like you're hoping a project kind of guy. And same thing with Familia. To me, Familia and Neris are like swapping out each other. Neris was solid, but not great. And that's what Familia is at this point. You don't have a legitimate closer unless Dominguez can become that guy. If Dominguez can be your 8th or 9th guy, 9th inning shutdown guy, it maybe changes the dynamic for you. Jay and EHT chimes in and says, I think in the grand scheme of things, talking about the Sixers, that win last night was more for the rest of the team so they know they can get the job done without Joel Embiid and James Harden. Now, the league also knows they can be formidable. No one should think that because of the win, the Sixers have the East in their grasp, but it was a nice night out for the guys who needed it, and we got a game closer to Miami. First of all, JNEHT, great context. I applaud you for being a rational, level-headed fan, first of all. Second of all, my favorite part of that was the fact that you said the rest of the East now knows that the other guys can do this. What is one of the biggest factors that goes into being a fighter, whether you're a fan of MMA or boxing? If the other guy believes you can beat him, you already have an edge. If the other guy is watching out for your takedowns or watching out for your TKO knockout power or watching out for your submissions, you already have an edge. So you're right, JNHT. There's something to be said for the fact that now other teams look at Maxey, look at Milton, look at Korkmaz, look at whoever you want to say, and they're like, you know what? Gotta watch out for that guy. It's not just Joel. It's not just James. So I totally agree with that. I think it's a good point put you by James. I think my only concern is that you would have liked to see Embiid and Harden beat the Miami Heat, though. Because the Miami Heat were fully healthy last night. They had everybody good to go on the court. You would have liked to give in that feather in the hat to Embiid and Harden. More Sports Bash next.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
It's good! Embiid pours in a three, and the 76ers have gone in front by 3.
The Sixers are in L.A. to face the Lakers. Coverage begins at 10 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Buzzer beaters and bracketologists, leprechauns and green beer. One more nor'easter snowstorm. You know they're going to happen in March. You just don't know when.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. Every day, all month at Matt Blatt Nissan. New 2022 Titan trucks. $5,000 off. Plus, AJ, the trade man, will get you more for your trade. So you can drive a brand new Nissan with 0 down and pay 0% interest on every new Nissan in stock. Lease the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier S 4x4 King Cab. Just $279 per month with 0 security deposit. Plus, with a Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. Equity will be financed against the vehicle. 36 months, 10,000 miles per year lease. Plus tax tag and $479.50. Offers can be combined. Selling price MSRP 6140. Then NN 532176. MSRP 33940. Then NN 632542. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for monthly details. Offer ends 4/6/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. The NCAA tournament, the Sweet 16 is just days away, and the NFL offseason never goes to sleep. Luke Brigani from PropSwap.com and the PropSwap app. Let's start with the NFL. Deshaun Watson is a Brown. They were a long shot.
Yep. Super Bowl odds to win 2023. Super Bowl go from 50-1 all the way down to 15-1. Obviously, only one position in sports can do that. It's the quarterback position in the NFL. They get Deshaun Watson. If you've got a Browns ticket, get that thing posted right now. And of course, the only place where you can sell that for a profit is PropSwap.
Of course, similar to the Browns situation a couple of years ago, the Bucs were long shot odds. Brady came to Tampa, and now Brady retires, and now he's back in Tampa. That's another hot ticket for PropSwap.
We saw a 28-1 Tampa Bay future get made about 3 days before Tom Brady announces he's unretiring, going back to Tampa. Tampa Bay Bucks go from 28-1 to 6-1 overnight, with number 12 going back.
PropSwap.com and the PropSwap app is where to get all of your NFL futures. College basketball, Arizona's hot. Duke is selling like wild. Nova onto the Sweet 16. But Luke, St. Peter's, they're Cinderella. They're in New Jersey. New Jersey people can't bet St. Peter's Peters, but they can go to Prop Swap if they want to get a St. Peter's ticket.
Yep. So St. Peter's went from about 1,000 to 1 odds down to 200 to 1, even lower in some sports books. So if you bought a St. Peter's ticket from us, any New Jersey resident can flip that immediately. And we're getting more posted every day. Of course, they have a difficult game in Philadelphia, but that's a winnable game. So this team's alive and certainly the Cinderella story of the year. And everyone that's flipped those on Prop Swap has made a huge profit, regardless how the game goes this upcoming Thursday.
PropSwap.com and the Prop Swap app. NFL, college basketball, the NBA playoffs, all that and more. You can get in on all the action with PropSwap.com, the Prop Swap app today. Luke, great stuff, man.
Thanks, Josh.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
What will you discover at Rider University? Endless possibilities. Join us on Sunday, April 24th at 10 a.m. for an in-person open house. You'll meet current students, tour campus, and grab a bite at our food trucks. At Rider, choose from 70-plus majors and gain hands-on experience through internships, fieldwork, and more. Your academic advisor and career coach will help you create a plan that brings your goals to life. And Rider offers guaranteed career support so you're prepared for what's next. Register today at rider.edu/open house.
With all the sports we have, every time of the year is the best time of the year.
And the crowd just buzzing with excitement.
On 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill, second hour of the show here on 97.3 ESPN FM on a Tuesday edition. Mike Gill enjoying the Florida weather. He's actually at the Phillies spring training game today. If you're following Mike on Twitter, you saw he found a guy named Wentz at the game. I mean, poor Philadelphia fans. Carson Wentz, can't get rid of him, can't escape him. He's coming back to the division, and now he's in spring training. Obviously, there's different Wentz, but it's still funny. You got to see the tweet at Mike Gill Show on Twitter. Still to come this hour on the show, Bryan Toporek, co-host of the NBA podcast and Forbes Sports National NBA writer, will join us to talk more about the Sixers in the Eastern Conference coming up at about 3:25 tonight. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Jason Avant, former Eagles wide receiver and co-host of the Q&A show on the Inside the Birds podcasting network, join us at 4 p.m. Tuesday with Thompson coming up a little bit later in the show as well. And Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press join the show coming up at 5:25 here on 97.3 ESPN FM. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 is the text board, 609-403-0973, or you can DM the show if you're listening on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. DMs thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. We got into this a little bit in the first hour, and I wanted to expand on this here as we have a little more time on it. So the news came out about 90 minutes ago that the Panthers have no interest in trading for Baker Mayfield. And I got to tell you guys, I'm a little perplexed with the anti-Baker Mayfield sentiment around the league right now. There's got to be something that we don't know about Baker Mayfield, because there's nobody in their right mind that can convince me that Sam Darnold, Davis Mills are both better than Baker Mayfield is as a quarterback. There's nobody that can convince me that right now Drew Lock is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. If you want to tell me the Colts preferred Matt Ryan over Baker Mayfield, I get that. If you want to tell me that the Browns wanted Deshaun Watson instead of Baker Mayfield, I get that. If you want to tell me the Eagles would rather have Jalen Hurts than Baker Mayfield, I get that. But this idea that the quarterback carousel has been brought to a screeching halt because Jimmy G and Baker Mayfield have not been traded is one of the strangest things I can ever think of. And on top of all of that, the news that came out that Deshaun Watson didn't want to come to Philadelphia because he didn't want Jalen Hurts to lose his job in Philly or to take a job away from Jalen. This presumption that Jalen was not wanted in Houston, that Baker is not wanted in Carolina or Indianapolis, I'm starting to have a lot of questions about the state of this league when it comes to quarterback position. I think it's becoming very obvious that either every person who doesn't work in the NFL is the biggest idiots in the world, or the NFL is full of a lot of people who are clueless with the quarterback position. And here's why I bring that up. I just saw the Rams win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, a guy who has 0 playoff wins with the Detroit Lions. 2 years ago, the 49ers were 15 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo until Patrick Mahomes led a feverish comeback to win it all. I saw Tom Brady win a Super Bowl with the greatest defensive performance by two teams I've ever seen for 3 quarters in the Super Bowl, and Julian Edelman was Super Bowl MVP. I saw Nick Foles win a shootout with Tom Brady the year before in the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson should have a second ring in the Super Bowl if they just would have run the football. I have lived in my lifetime and seen Jeff Hostetler, Mark Rippon, Doug Williams, Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson all win rings, but Dan Marino, Warren Moon, Phillip Rivers can't win a ring. I've seen Ben Roethlisberger win a championship playing horrible, and I've seen him win a championship playing great. I've seen Kurt Warner win a Super Bowl and lose a Super Bowl and have almost identical stats. I've seen Tom Brady go almost undefeated, and I've seen Tom Brady be a game manager. I've seen Eli Manning play horrible in the regular season and play like the greatest quarterback who's ever lived for a 4-game stretch. To me, the quarterback position is an inexact science. But yet I'm supposed to believe that Baker Mayfield can't play quarterback in the NFL and that other teams would rather have Davis Mills, Sam Darnold, and Drew Lock instead of him. I'm supposed to believe that Deshaun Watson was so worried about Jalen Hurts' position as a starting quarterback in the NFL that he didn't want to come to Philadelphia and take his job. Is the job of the people who decide who does and doesn't play in this league so messed up that this is where we are? We are in such a mess that the Colts have had a different starting quarterback for 5 straight years. Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and now Matt Ryan. How many playoff games have the Colts won during that time? 1. How many playoff appearances do they have? 3. But again, I'm supposed to believe that all of these NFL GMs and executives and coaches are so smart. The quarterback position is the most inexact science in sports. You can have the best quarterback and not win a championship, and then you can have the most mediocre average quarterback and also win a championship. I don't want to hear from anyone about any of this stuff. At some point, we all got to have an honest conversation. And apparently nobody wants to have it, except for a handful of us. Like me and Andy McNamara from Sportsnet had it yesterday. And I'm sure Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press will indulge me and have the conversation later today. And I'm sure there are some other honest, reputable people in this business who are willing to have these conversations, but not many people are. Something's not adding up here in the NFL. Baker Mayfield is one of only 2 quarterbacks in the last 22 years to lead the Browns to a postseason, and he was the first quarterback to win a playoff game in 30 years? And yet nobody wants him. How does that work exactly? The Browns said that they wanted a quarterback who could be an adult. But yet they're bringing in a guy who has 22 civil cases against him because he can't decide which masseuse he wants. And he's hitting women up on Instagram in their DMs and flying them out to give him massages. But Baker Mayfield is not the adult. Something's not adding up. There's something going on in the NFL when it comes to quarterback evaluation. There are people right now trying to convince themselves that they should draft either Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Matt Corral in the first round this year. This is the weakest quarterback class the NFL has seen since Blake Bortles was a top 3 pick. Kenny Pickett's trying to make his hand size look bigger and stretch it out. Malik Willis is trying to show off how powerful his body is by playing in a tight shirt and basically the shorts that John Stockton wore in the 1980s. Matt Corral is telling teams that basically if he was healthy, that he'd be the best quarterback in this draft. And Baker Mayfield is not wanted by the Panthers or the Texans or the Colts. But the Washington Commanders want Carson Wentz. This is a weird league, folks. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. A couple texts coming in at 609-403-0973. Also DMs through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. A message comes in and says, Josh, I'm a Browns fan. I like Baker Mayfield. I don't understand why Houston didn't take him as part of the trade. I'm assuming that Houston really wants Davis Mills that bad. Davis Mills must either be incredibly impressive to this organization down in Houston, or there are their eyes on drafting a quarterback. Whether it's Willis or Pickett or Corral or Desmond Ridder or Carson Strong, whoever. Or maybe Houston is just purposely not wanting to put their eggs in any basket for any quarterback until the 2023 draft, because 2023 you have guys like Bryce Young in it. I don't know what it is. Maybe Lovie Smith's going to be another lame duck coach. Maybe Houston's just biding their time until they get a real quarterback in their mind. You're right. I don't understand why Houston wouldn't want Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is better than any quarterback in the draft this year. Baker Mayfield is better than Drew Lock in Seattle, and he's better than Davis Mills. So I don't get what the deal is. Text coming in over at 609-403-0973. Texter says, Brady was never a game manager, bud. Fair point on Baker, but few teams are in demand to pay high for the Browns' asking price. They hold no leverage. Takes team to make a miracle. Doug Peterson. Couple things. One, go back and watch the first 3 Patriots Super Bowls. Brady managed the game. Brady did not become the guy we know as Brady until he was allowed to open up the offense with Josh McDaniels. Charlie Weiss and Bill Belichick kept Brady in a very managed, controlled environment. You go and watch The Man in the Arena or read the book Belichick or anything about, Brady versus Manning by Gary Myers, whatever source you want to use, just go by the stats. Tom Brady didn't become Tom Brady the first couple of years he was the starter. Tom Brady was the right man at the right place at the right time to stabilize an organization that had lost their franchise quarterback. That franchise quarterback being Drew Bledsoe. Brady was a good but not great quarterback. 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. 23 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That was his first 3 years. It wasn't until Charlie Weiss left for Notre Dame, Josh McDaniels became the OC full-time, that Brady started putting up the crazy numbers. He didn't have a 4,000-yard passing season until 2005. 2 years later was the 2007 season with 50 touchdowns. When he came back from the injury, he would go on to have a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight years of 3,900 passing yards every year. 32 years old to 38. But from 24 to 26, he was a very good but not great quarterback. In the Super Bowl, he managed the games. He kept the Patriots in a position to win those games. Was he clutch? Yes. But Brady never led the league in fourth quarter comebacks or game-winning drives until he was 30 years old. 30. He was a starting quarterback at 24. I'm just saying Brady didn't become Brady immediately. Now, back to Baker. If the Browns are asking for a high price, which I haven't read anywhere personally, if they're asking for a high price for Baker, the Browns are dumb. No one's giving them a high price for Baker. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. But I like you dropping the quote from Doug Peterson. It takes a team to make a miracle. Doug Peterson understood something that I think a lot of coaches in this league don't understand. A lot of executives don't understand. And this is why I believe in Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is going to have a massive turnaround this year. I don't know if Jacksonville is going to the postseason, but I think that the addition of talent on both sides of the ball this offseason free agency, combined with high-level draft picks in the draft, I think Doug is going to take a team that struggled tremendously last year under the tyrannical imbecile named Urban Meyer, which, if anybody read the Athletic article, if half of that stuff is true, half of it is true, Urban Meyer is a loser. I mean, the things that they are saying in that article that was reported by NFL.com, by The Athletic, by ESPN.com, man, Urban Meyer is a scumbag. He just treats people horribly. So you're going from a guy who was just an evil person in how he treated people to one of the most player-friendly coaches in the league, Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson showed that he can win games with Carson Wentz. He can win games with Nick Foles. He won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And now you're giving him Trevor Lawrence, who's supposed to be a transcendent talent. A guy who had to explain to the coaches that he needed Marvin Jones and James Robinson on the field to win games because Urban Meyer wanted to bench them because he didn't like them. You're going from that to Doug Peterson? This was a 3-win team last year. They should have minimum double their wins next year. Doug Peterson understands that the quarterback is only as good as the team around him. And what are the Jags doing? They've added receivers. They've upgraded the offensive line. They've got a couple guys on defense. They're going to use their draft picks to build up the line, probably a little more, because you know Doug Peterson comes from the Andy Reid tree. What does Andy Reid believe in, and what does Howie Roseman believe in? For better or for worse, they believe in the offensive line. I think Doug Peterson is going to win at least a double the games next year. Maybe I should make that a place that bet. I got to find what the actual win-loss totals are for the Jags next year. Josh Hennig hanging in out with you, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We'll get to more of your texts on the other side. Keep them coming. 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Coming up the other side, we'll get back to the basketball. Bryan Toporek from the NBA podcast and national NBA writer for 4 Sports joins us next to get into the Sixers and the Eastern Conference here on 97.3 ESPN.
Sports.
The first touchdown of DeVonta Smith's NFL career.
Scores.
The catch, the shot, the three. Swish.
Updates.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
Hear about it as it happens and when it happens on 97.3 ESPN.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Ugh, my stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Ready to get fiscally fit in 2022? First Harvest Credit Union offers home equity loans as low as 2.99 annual percentage rate for 5 years and as low as 3.49 annual percentage rate for 10 years. For more on these specials, visit firstharvestcu.com or visit a local branch by March 31st. For additional information as to costs, call 800-582-7640. Must apply by March 31st, 2022. Subject to qualifications and approval. Other restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers with Windows 11 Pro and get an easy start to your workday. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
So in life, throws you uh-ohs. Just save, better get Mako.
Go to Mako.com for an online estimate today.
The NFL football season is over, and the winter of 2022 is coming to a close. We are rapidly moving toward 2 long-awaited dates. One, after February 26th, there are only 3 Saturdays left until spring, and on March 13th, we move our clocks ahead. Hi, Tom McAllister from McAllister the Service Company. These are annual milestones that set us on a path towards warmer weather and those hot summer days. Remember the end of last summer when you decided to put off upgrading your older, inefficient air conditioning system? Now's the perfect time to revisit that idea and take advantage of preseason discounts and also the rebates offered by the state and the utilities. Talk to the experts at McAllister at 888-927-4122 or at mcservice.com for all of your air conditioning and heating needs. McAllister, we cannot control the weather. We can control your comfort.
When was the last time everyone agreed on what's for dinner? You want ramen, they want pizza. Thankfully, there's something for everyone on the DoorDash app. For a limited time, get 50% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code ORDERNOW50. That's 50% off up to a $12 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you enter promo code ORDERNOW50. That's promo code ORDERNOW50. Subject to change, terms apply. Get more from your neighborhood.
Parkview RV. It's that time of year again. Wanderlust sets in, and you feel it in your bones. It's time to hit the road, but not before you hit Parkview RV with their incredible 2.5-acre expansion. 8 acres of the hottest names in recreational vehicles: Northern Light, Salem, Durango, Forest River, Columbus, Winnebago, Lance, Thor, and many more. And featuring the new A-Liner, the newest look in RVs, sleek, contemporary. And yours for just over $100 a month. That's right, just over $100 a month. With the low prices Parkview RV is famous for on an amazing selection of new and pre-owned motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, towables, truck campers, and pop-ups. The selection is unprecedented, and so are the savings at Parkview RV, the largest RV dealer on the peninsula and in the entire tri-state area. Spring is in the air, so check out Parkview RV, Route 13 in North Smyrna, across from Delaware's only rest area. Parkview RV, home of the great deal, based on 180 months and 5.99% APR.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash Tuesday edition here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Sports Bash being brought to you by AC Airport. Plan your spring break getaway now. Create memories that last a lifetime. Start with nonstop flights from Atlantic City to Cancun, San Juan, and Miami. Book your low-cost flight today at Spirit.com. Speaking of Miami, I mentioned this earlier, folks. I was wrong. I really thought the Heat were going to come into Philadelphia and just beat the snot out of them. Instead, the Sixers out-rebounded an opponent for the first time in about a million years. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. But the fact that they out-rebounded and outshot Miami was shocking to me. But what does it really mean? In the Eastern Conference standings, well, that's Bryan Toporek. The NBA podcast, you can follow him on Twitter at @BToporek, and of course, Forbes Sports NBA writer. Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. And like I said, I'm shocked they won that game last night. I mean, even Doc Rivers after the game, that his coaches were shocked. He got Furkan Korkmaz off the bench first, and Korkmaz had 4 threes. I don't know what happened last night. I'm assuming that it's just a blip on the radar, but can we take anything from last night's game?
Yeah, I mean, we could take the Tyrese Maxey as an absolute stud. I just continue to be impressed with his shot making in particular. Right? How he took over the team in the fourth quarter was astounding. And, I feel like one of the big questions about this team for the past few years is who gets the ball, late in the game, and they need a bucket. Who's going to be the guy who gets it to you? It can't just always be Joel Embiid, and now they have James Harden, but Tyrese Maxey proved last night like he's that guy too. So they have a number of late game options, and especially when you compare that to the night before, where they were down 3, they needed a late game bucket, and they ran some sort of dribble handoff play for Tobias Harris that went nowhere. It was just nice to see the execution was a lot more crisp last night. And, it does go to show you that some of these dispiriting performances lately might just be like a lack of regular season focus, as easy as it is to panic about this kind of stuff. Like, seeing that type of effort from them last night was encouraging. And maybe, the Heat came in, saw Embiid when Harden weren't playing, and took the skeleton crew Sixers lightly. But if effort is one of the big things behind their lackluster transition defense, their rebounding issues, if that's one of the things fueling some of their biggest problems right now, ideally that won't be such an issue in the playoffs.
Yeah, to me, the rebounding thing, it's kind of effort, but it's kind of the roster too, isn't it? Like, you don't have a bunch of great rebounders on this roster. And, part of the thing I talked about Tobias Harris before you came on today, Brian, is, look, I think Tobias's best attribute is as a leader, as a locker room guy. The problem is you can't pay a guy $185 million to be a great locker room guy and a leader.
Right.
Danny Green could be that. So, the fact that Tobias got 8 rebounds last night, to me, is a big deal. But Brian, it felt like it was almost every night last year, Tobias going 20 and 10, 20 and 10, 20 and 10. And this year, he's shooting some of the worst 3-point shooting he's done in years.
Mm-hmm.
His scoring is down. Everything is down this year. And I'm just looking at Tobias and I'm like, are you okay, man? Like, are you all right? Like, I almost want to wave at the TV and be like, hey, Tobias, are you okay, buddy? Like, do you need a hug? Like, what's going on with this guy? Because you can't be the guy making that money. And your best attribute last night was, hey, he tied for the team lead at 8 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about this at Forbes recently since the Harden trade, and I wrote about it before the Harden trade as well. So you almost have to divorce the contract from the player at this point because there's nothing they can do about it now. It's a big offseason question, arguably the second biggest behind, just how much money does James Harden get is can they afford to keep Tobias Harris on this team with 2 other max guys on the roster? But again, they can't do anything about that now. I think having Joel Embiid, the MVP frontrunner right now, having James Harden, a former MVP, having Tyrese Maxey, this option who clearly has the wherewithal to take over games late. Like Tobias Harris, I wrote about this since the trade. They almost just need him to be a role player and the highest paid role player in NBA history, unfortunately. But like they don't need him to create an isolation or, one of these like 16 dribble post ups into a fadeaway mid-range jumper. Like ideally, you should be able to generate better looks than that on most possessions. They need him, what Doc has said, ever since he's come to the Sixers, they need him to be that quick decision guy. And I think we have started to see more flashes of that lately where, he's catching, he's either driving or he's shooting right away. He's not like catching it and then dribbling 5 times and then passing it out to someone else and just wasting 5 seconds on the shot clock. So they need that from him offensively. And then defensively, I think because he doesn't need to exert so much energy on offense and because he can just maybe stand around and run around screens, assert your will more defensively, especially on the glass where the Sixers need help. And, for as great as Embiid and Matisse Thybulle are defensively, Tobias is kind of that, bridge the gap between those two guys size-wise. So they're going to need him against, teams in the East like Boston that has a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown. Matisse can only guard one of them at a time. So they're going to need Tobias to play a big role defensively, which is, it's not his calling card, but that's where I think they're going to have him focus in more once the playoffs start.
Bryan Toporek joining us from the NBA podcast and, of course, For Sports NBA writer joining us right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Tuesday. Now, you mentioned earlier about Tyrese being a stud, and I think you and I are in lockstep about Tyrese. But Tim Legler brought this point up on television and radio the past couple of days. It's unacceptable for Maxey to score almost nothing in the fourth quarter in the Raptors' loss. He had a 16-point lead, and it turns into Harden ISO ball. I understand that Doc wants Harden to be assertive, but I don't think it's an accident the Sixers have played their best when Harden was looking to pass first. I think Harden is known as a great scorer, Brian, but I think for right now, he needs to maybe dial back the ISO ball and get back to passing the ball because I think the Sixers need more Maxey scoring than Harden ISO ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still just trying to figure out things that work and don't work, and they don't have a ton of time left to do it, unfortunately. But, Doc was saying last night, he feels good about how they look with Embiid and Harden on the floor together. And last night, frankly, shows how good they can be without those two guys on the floor together. But when it's just one or the other, that's what he's most concerned with. How do we get like 48 minutes of consistent play when in those just Joel or like, Joel and Maxey minutes or the Harden and Tobias minutes? How do we make sure those lineups don't bleed points? I agree with you that, they need Maxey, whereas I said Tobias, they need to be a role player. Like they need Maxey to be their third star because they just don't really have reliable bench guys outside of George Niang, who has been, a godsend for this team this year. But, Danny Green has fallen off a bit and has just been like in and out of the lineup all year with injuries. Shake and Furkan both had good games last night, but they've been inconsistent as well. So on those nights where, the bench isn't giving them much, like they need Maxey to be a 20, 25 point per game guy. And I think, they need to just continue figuring out ways to get him going offensively, whether with Harden or without. Like we saw some Harden Maxey pick and rolls. I think it was against Chicago. And, they had some success with that, but we just haven't really seen a lot of it since. So, the more that they play together, the more that they're going to figure out certain sets or certain plays that work well or certain lineups that work well. Last night against Miami, they basically just put a big red bullseye on Tyler Hero for the fourth quarter and said, we're just going to get our guys matched up with Tyler Hero and go right at him. So that sort of mismatch hunting, honestly, it's something the Sixers haven't really done in recent years, in part because they didn't have the personnel to do it. Now they do in Tyrese Maxey and James Harden. So I'm hoping to see more of that because I think that's, especially when the playoffs start, like you want to really start harping on your opponent's weaknesses. And, I know that was a criticism in that blowout Brooklyn loss. Like, why didn't they go after Seth Curry? So it's encouraging that, seeing a potential liability in Hero, they did seem to learn their lesson last night.
Did the Sixers learn anything about their bench last night?
I don't know how much to take away from it.
The sigh was great. That was a great moment there. That really says you're like, how do I answer this without being completely off the wall and just ripping them?
Like, I don't think so. I mean, I think if anything, it shows that Shake should be the guy that gets the first call. And then, Furkan, if they need a change of pace option and he's feeling it offensively, cool. But if not, I don't think you can rely on either one of those guys night in and night out. I think George Niang's really the only guy who you feel 100% confident is going to be in the playoff rotation night in, night out. It was a bummer that we didn't get to see really any of Charles Bassey or Paul Reed, because I know that's been one of the big talking points really over the last month since the Harden trade, since they lost Andre Drummond, is they need to figure out this backup center situation. DeAndre Jordan, is he the answer? Or I think Paul Millsap started last night and played pretty well. But, he had his struggles in that role. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at over these last 10 or 12 games is just, can they get DeAndre Jordan up to speed quickly enough? How much athleticism does he have left in the tank? And is he able to fill that role for, again, it's only going to be like 10, 12 minutes a night in the playoffs. So it's not going to be a huge amount of time, but those 10, 12 minutes, if you're a minus 10 or a minus 12, which I think he was a minus 10 against the Raptors in like 10 or 11 minutes. So that's where it starts to be problematic. But no, I don't think one game erases a whole season of struggles for guys like Shake and Furkan. It's good. It builds their confidence. And both of them said after the game, like, it's been good to have the opportunity to prove that they should be in the rotation, but you want to see them string together a few more consistent performances before you say, okay, we can count on this guy for a couple minutes a game in the playoffs.
Brian, let's go macro on the Eastern Conference here. Sixers are now 2.5 games behind the Heat. So are the Milwaukee Bucks. So are the Boston Celtics. I think most people believe that those are the 4 most dangerous teams in the East. And then you got Brooklyn, and it depends on what day of the week it is, what city it is, if Ben Simmons, how his back is doing. So we'll leave the Nets as a separate category. But the 4 I just mentioned, Miami, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Boston. Let's say those are the 4 powers in the East, and just put the Nets aside for a different part of this conversation. How do you rate those 4?
I would probably go Milwaukee, Boston, Miami in terms of the three other ones other than Philly. It's just so hard to know where Philly fits in there. Like on any given night, Philly can be the best of those four teams, or it could be the worst of those four teams. And it's just, I'm not sure which one of it it's going to be. We've seen them, like that blowout win over the Timberwolves in Harden's debut was a really good win for them. And they've the Dallas win on Friday night was a pretty convincing win over a team that's been among the NBA's best over the last few months. But then you have, the blowout loss to Brooklyn and the loss to Toronto without Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby. It's like, I just don't even know what to make of this team. So I think, Milwaukee, now that Brook Lopez is back, they're the defending champions. Giannis is going to, all of those guys really aren't playing anywhere near the number of minutes they will in the playoffs. Boston has just been one of the best teams. I mean, it's amazing the type of turnaround that they've had because, in middle of January, we were having like, should they trade Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum conversations, and it wasn't facetious, it was genuine. And now they're 2.5 games back from the number one seed in the East. I think that Derek White trade they made at the trade deadline is a huge help for them. They're just so versatile and they can throw out so many different types of lineups, combinations of guys. And I think that's going to make them really dangerous in the playoffs. I know Miami's the 1 seed, but again, you don't want to make too much out of any one game. So, last night's game, you could say the same about Philly a couple times this year. Like every team has them over the course of an 82 game regular season. But I think there are still some fair questions about can they just create enough half court offense? And then, the hero and Duncan Robinson, like both of them are great shooters, great scorers, but they are potential defensive liabilities. And, they could paper over that because otherwise you have Lowry, Butler, PJ Tucker, Bam Adebayo. All 4 of those guys are plus defenders. But again, in the playoffs, it's usually teams harp on you find the weak spot, you attack it over and over. So how do they hide that specific weakness?
Before I let you go, I'm convinced that if Udoka or Jenkins don't win the Coach of the Year, that we should just fire everybody who votes for Coach of the Year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, first of all, what Udoka's done in Boston to me is incredible. He took a bunch of guys who couldn't find their way, got everyone to work together. Boston could very easily be playing the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think that's a far-fetched thing right now. Mm-hmm. And what Memphis has done in the West, I don't think we can sneeze at all. The fact that they are number 2 right now, and I understand part of it is because of the Warriors with all their injuries, but we all talked about Utah and Dallas and Denver and the Lakers and all the, and it's the Grizz that are number 2, and Ja Morant's dark horse MVP candidate, and Jackson has come on, and Desmond Bane. I mean, who the heck knew Desmond Bane was before this year?
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys absolutely deserve to be in consideration, and they should be among the front runners for the award. I guess my surprise is that you left off one, JB Bickerstaff with the Cavaliers, and his candidacy might take on some water here with Jared Allen out. But, no one had this Cavaliers team even making the playoffs, much less in the top 6 at, the midway point of March. And now here they are at 6th. So I think he's done an incredible job with that team. But I mean, Monty Williams, I feel like if nothing else, just deserves it because he got robbed last year. But I mean, you lose Chris Paul and they just haven't missed a beat. Like they are running away with the NBA's best record right now. And it feels like we've just kind of collectively ignored the Suns, and we're all fixated on, figuring out the stuff in the East. And like, is Brooklyn, what do we make of them? What do we make of the Warriors? And it's like the Suns are just bludgeoning us over the heads with, hey guys, we're the best team of the NBA this year. And so, I mean, especially when you lose an important piece like Paul, like they have, and they continue to hum. So I think it's a testament to, the system that he's built, but also, teams that come off of a finals loss, and especially a close finals loss like that, compare it to what the Hawks are going through this season, where they kind of came into the season, and John Collins has said this, they came in and thought, oh, okay, we made it. We made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like everyone is we're going to just blow through the regular season because we're that good. And now, they're a game below 500, 71 games into the season. The Suns, have just gone right back to it. And they aren't skipping steps on their path back to the finals. So if I had to pick right now, Monty would be my guy.
All right, Council, you convinced me that Monty should be one of the 3 finalists. How about that?
Good. I'll take it.
But I still want Udoka and Jenkins as the other 2.
Yeah, I mean, especially Jenkins.
No offense to Bickerstaff. That team's just so hard to read at this point because you mentioned the Jared Allen situation. They lost Colin Sexton very early on. Then they lost Rubio. It's just such a hard team to read at this point, but I'll give you Monty. Monty definitely should have won it last year. He deserves credit for this year. Give him the top 3 and I'll be happy.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that. I'm with you on the other 2 guys as well. I mean, again, people would have said Memphis is like probably a play-in team, but not the number 2 seed in the East. And, John Morant's having an all NBA caliber campaign. Jaren Jackson Jr. is taking a huge leap. You mentioned Desmond Bane. They're fantastic. And they're just the most fun team in the NBA to watch. So I don't know. I just want to give them like the league pass champion crown, if nothing else. Okay. If they get shut out of the individual awards, just give them that award because they have been super fun to watch this season.
Absolutely. He's Bryan Toporek. He's the co-host of the NBA podcast. Download, subscribe, rate it 5 stars, do all that good stuff. Subscribe to the feed. Check out his work over at Forbes Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at @BToporek. Bryan, appreciate you jumping on today in the conversation.
Of course. Anytime, Josh.
We'll get back to you guys' thoughts and comments on the other side. 609-403-0973 is text port. And, of course, your DMs over the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Football at 4 in 14 minutes.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's football at 4 every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Badge with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
With basketball season in full swing and UFC every weekend, it's time for you to experience sports betting done right at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Get in on all the games you love at the FanDuel Sportsbook located right off the Atlantic City Boardwalk. The retail sportsbook features 5 betting windows, a large video wall, 20 self-service betting kiosks, and much more. Get your game face on and score big when you bet with FanDuel Sportsbook only at Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The uh-ohs are out there. Scratches, dents, unexpected natural events. But with Mako and their magic, your car is no longer tragic. So when life throws you uh-ohs, just say,
better get Mako.
And go to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
We travel to see what's around the bend and what we're capable of. And now Capital One's new class of travel card can keep up with you. Introducing Venture X from Capital One. With 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy. Venture X, for those always asking, where next? Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook. But that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. And we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. From P&G Professional.
Welcome to Allstate, where we bring it all together. And bundling your home and auto is good, right? And it saves you up to 25%. It all comes together. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Bundled savings discounts will vary by state. Saving up to 25% is a countrywide average of savings off the home policy. Combining the multiple policy discount for having auto insurance with Allstate and the welcome discount savings at enrollment.
Progressive Fence and Rail.
Fencing, railing, shower enclosures for home builders and homeowners. Customized just for you. Awnings and decks, yeah, we do those too. Yeah. We get it done right. We get it done fast. With quality products built to last. If you need help around the outside of your home, the only name you need to know is ProgressiveFenceandRail.com.
When was the last time everyone agreed on what's for dinner? You want ramen, they want pizza. Thankfully, there's something for everyone on the DoorDash app. For a limited time, get 50% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code ORDERNOW50. That's 50% off up to a $12 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you enter promo code ORDERNOW50. That's promo code ORDERNOW50. Subject to change, terms apply. Get more from your neighborhood.
The CFOs that get it, get it. The CFOs that don't. Behold the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. This isn't some bean counter. Today's CFO is critical to the strategy, growth, and profitability of the business. But in growing companies, there are two kinds of CFOs. One who's struggling to keep up with spreadsheets everywhere, manual processes, errors, and lack of visibility into the numbers. It takes weeks to close the books. And one who's on top of their game. Automated reports, inventory, e-commerce, and HR flow into the financial model seamlessly. Insights coming with the click of a button. This CFO uses NetSuite by Oracle with visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. NetSuite is everything you need to grow all in one place. That's why NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system used by over 29,000 growing businesses. Like I said, the CFOs that get it, get it. The CFOs that don't. Head to netsuite.com/radar for a special one-of-a-kind financing offer. netsuite.com/radar. netsuite.com/radar.
I need 4 more of the biscuit carnitas, 2 burnt end platters, 3...
The kitchen at Kai's Barbecue is firing on all cylinders.
Greg, help me bring these to the pickup counter.
He needs food runners who can hit the ground quickly.
86 on the chicken and we're short-staffed. Let's pick it up.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Tyndall Auto Plaza has the area's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models, with over 170 pre-owned vehicles on their huge 100-acre lot. Everything from sporty coupes to SUVs to trucks. Tyndall offers the area's best buying experience, easy and hassle-free, with 60 years of customer satisfaction and community service. Discover why Tyndall customers are so loyal. Shop for your next pre-owned vehicle at Tyndall Auto Plaza, exit 10 of the Parkway, Stone Harbor Boulevard, or online at KindleAutoplaza.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Final segment of the 3 o'clock hour here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill, who's on vacation on a Tuesday edition of the show. Coming up in about 9 minutes from now, I'll talk with former Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant about the Eagles offseason, wide receivers, and more. Of course, Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, bring you each and every day football at 4 here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM. Back to your guys' thoughts and comments, of course, on the text board at 609-403-0973. Also, we got messages coming in on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. B from Summers Point chimes in over on the DMs on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, talking about the situation with Baker, Mayfield, and Deshaun Watson. Just because a guy wants a massage doesn't make him childish. Does he have flaws in those regards? Sure. Baker's biggest flaw is that wants to share the spotlight with his wife. Every commercial, she's right there. Everyone there in the locker room issue. Maybe teams feel that he can't control his personal life, that they can't grasp the locker room. Well, a couple things. First of all, whether Baker's wife is in the commercial or not, who cares? He's in the commercial. I mean, there's a lot of people in those commercials. The problem with Baker with the commercial is, how does Baker have so much time to film so many commercials? You know, one of the things you don't understand is that the amount of time it takes to make a television commercial is double what it takes for me in my business in radio. If you're a business and you call on me to help make your commercial, right? There's a whole set of layers and processes from the production department to me being involved in the commercial to, people who have to make sure the commercial gets scheduled. It's a whole process. It's double that work when it comes to making a television commercial. So to me, the issue with Baker and his commercials has nothing to do with his wife. It has to do with the commercials. Okay. Now, concerning Deshaun Watson, wanting a massage isn't the issue, being Summer's point. The issue is that I've never heard of a professional athlete who needs 22 different women to give him a massage. Typically, you find somebody who does a good job. It's like a haircut. You find one person or somebody who does the job right, and you stick with that person. The way Deshaun has handled his personal life to the point where he has 22 women accusing him of something in civil court, it's just a bad look. If this was somebody that you knew personally, you give him the side eye. Yes, Baker's biggest problem is that he spends all this time with commercials. But listen, he is the first Browns quarterback to win a playoff game in over, 30 years. That's a huge deal. And if I remember correctly, I think him and Deshaun Watson had the same number of playoff wins. Double check that, but Watson can't have more than 2 postseason wins in his career as quarterback. I'll pull it up right now. Watson in the playoffs he's 1-2. Baker's 1-1. They have the same number of postseason wins. One more text coming, says Josh Browns did Baker wrong. He acted unprofessional and should have approached him and said that that's the plan. Instead, they said he's not an adult. Yeah, the whole story from Chris Mortensen, we're saying that they wanted an adult at quarterback. It just comes off as just very underhanded by the organization. All right, more football talk. Eagles offseason wide receivers and more. Jason Avant next.
Drive to the rim, floater good. It's the Sweet 16 on 97.3 ESPN. Experience the madness of the NCAA tournament only on 97.3 ESPN. All the buzzer beaters. For the win! All the upsets and all the big moments. March Madness on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by
Resorts Casino Hotel, home to DraftKings Sportsbook. Visit resortsac.com.
Health update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
It's the morning of your colonoscopy. You spring out of bed and you say, I just can't wait to get this test, said no one ever. Let's face it, getting a colonoscopy is no fun. But you know what's worse than colonoscopy? And I'm just going to be blunt here. Colon cancer. March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Here's something we all need to know. The new recommendation for a first colonoscopy for people of average risk is now age 45. This is important because colon cancer is now on the rise in people younger than their mid-50s. There's really nothing to it. You're asleep during the entire procedure, and most of us only need the test every 10 years. It's a small price to pay to detect colorectal cancer, which is highly treatable if found in its earliest stages. So make that appointment today. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
March is for nets and bets. Place your college basketball bets at DraftKings Sportsbook at Resorts Casino Hotel. DraftKings Sportsbook is the ultimate sports betting experience with massive ultra-high-definition TVs, 18 betting kiosks, and great game day drink specials. From prop bets to live in-game betting, DraftKings Sportsbook has it all. Voted 2021 Best Overall Sportsbook. Call ahead for VIP reservations. Visit resortsac.com for more information. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So in life, throws you O's. Just save, better get Mako.
Go to Mako.com for an online estimate today.
Straight Talk Wireless now has the new iPhone 13 with cinematic mode, which lets you focus on what matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal. Our Silver Unlimited plan is just $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. And it runs on the largest, most dependable networks, now with nationwide 5G. With the iPhone 13 on Straight Talk, you can share whatever you want, wherever you want. Straight Talk Wireless. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Made a new home remodeling, helping make your dreams a reality.
What does the perfect bathroom look like to you? Does it have a large, sleek shower? Or maybe a deep, relaxing soaking tub? Hi, I'm Brian from Made a New Home Remodeling. We love helping homeowners transform their bathrooms into spaces that bring them joy and relaxation. If you're looking to freshen things up, please contact us through madeanewhomeremodeling.com.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
Stop by Church's for the high-flying flavor combination of our Texas tenders and shrimp meal today. It's butterfly shrimp alongside made-from-scratch Texas tenders, served spicy or original for $6. Church's, welcome to the great state of flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know.
This isn't the olden days. Now, word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square, South Jersey, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in South Jersey you could reach online. Visit townsquarelocal.com and be the Town Square today. That's townsquarelocal.com.
A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit! He stumbles! He's down!
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill on vacation. I'm here hanging out with you. Football at 4 still goes on. Of course, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Like, subscribe, give that 5-star to the guys over there. Joining us on today's edition of the show, former Eagles wide receiver. He is the co-host of the Q&A podcast. He is Jason Avant joining us right now. We'll talk more about the Eagles and their offseason. And Jason joins us right now. Jason, how you doing today?
I'm well, and yourself? How you doing, Josh?
Not too much. First of all, how is the offseason treating you? For you guys, I know you guys are still being busy. I know you're busy with the bounce house over there and everything. So how's the NFL offseason treated you?
Everything is going well. It's exciting. The NFL keeps it going all year round. So it's always exciting for the fans. You're trying to figure out which team you're, is going to give you the most fantasy value and all those things, which players are good. And, so it's exciting. So I love the NFL. So it's never, you never miss a beat. I did enjoy getting a few weeks off from, covering football the entire year, a couple times a week. But when free agency kicks it off, it's fun. You want to see what the Eagles are going to do, and you hope they can match the teams in their progress and getting better.
Well, I'm glad to have you on today because just yesterday, the Eagles did make a move that involves your position of expertise.
Yeah.
Zach Pascal used to work with Nick Sirianni over in Indianapolis. Now he comes to Philadelphia. So what was your immediate reaction to Pascal rejoining Sirianni here?
He's a situational player, deserves a chance and has a purpose on the team. One thing that the Eagles don't have is a grunt receiver, a dirty work guy. They don't. And that guy is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, but he doesn't give you much value when it comes to route running and catching the football and things of that nature because they don't trust him in that aspect, but they just trust him to go in and block. So the Eagles like to play a horizontal game when it comes to Jalen Reagor, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins when it comes to on the perimeter extensions of the run game type plays where they throw quick screens and things of that nature. When you have a bunch of guys that weigh 170, that doesn't work well. So you get a guy that's a big fella, 210 plus and 6'2", a big dude that can hold you up in those situations and in the run game. He has some pretty outstanding blocks this year and over the last couple of years for the Colts. So he serves a purpose, but I don't want anybody that's listening to me thinking that this is the Eagles are done at this position, because he just serves a purpose. He's a situational guy. We still need a playmaker on the other side of Devontae Smith.
Last year, the Eagles veteran in that wide receiver room was Greg Ward, which I like Greg Ward. I especially like him as college quarterback at Houston, but him being the veteran doesn't say much. Does Pascal fill the void of a veteran in that room?
No, because when he's still a young player, a lot of undrafted experience. He's an undrafted player, so he's not going to garner. And Greg Ward was too, but Greg has played a long time in this city and has gone through some playoffs and different things of that nature with this team. And he was there with these young guys, so they can kind of look up to him and they know the role. But him coming in from a different organization is not going to be like some veteran presence that he's not going to ignite the troops. Greg Ward can do that just fine.
Now the Eagles were in on Allen Robinson. He got big money from the Rams.
Yeah.
Reports are that Robert Woods could have come to Philadelphia, but said, I want to go to Tennessee. Read into that, whatever you will. I don't know what to think of that. Calvin Ridley, obviously he's suspended next year, so he's not going to be available. So the Eagles missed out on some guys who would have been some major upgrades to have across from Devonta Smith. Where should they go now? What do they do now that they could have had some other guys? It just didn't work out.
You got 3 picks, right? So you got 3 picks and you have a plethora of talent at receiver in this upcoming draft. You're not going to be able to get the top echelon guys like Garrett Wilson or, Chris Olave, because those guys are probably gone. Drake London, those guys. But you may get Jameis Williams that got hurt at Alabama. You may get an opportunity to get a player like that with one of those 3 picks. And I think that's the way that you should go if you're the Eagles. But I'm going to tell you something else, Josh, that's even more perplexing. It's not perplexing, but it's scary for a fan, is that when you're talking about free agency, there's no ties to no other team. So it's on the players. It's the player's choice, the player's volition in order to, for them to make that decision. And it's in their case, they're going to leave with the best looking girl that's available from the player's position. Right. And what the Eagles are is not the best looking girl. We've gained a few pounds and we're not looking at it that intriguing to free agents this time around. And that's what we need to be focusing on as well, is that a lot of these quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, a lot of these guys did not want to come here. The Eagles had just as much as everyone else. They didn't want to come here because the roster isn't the best. The general manager but the front office hadn't done the best drafting. And we haven't done well for ourselves over the last couple of years, and it's hurting us in free agency.
Former Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant joining us here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and InsideTheBirds.com. Jason, that's an amazing point you brought up, because Jeff Mosher was saying something very similar yesterday. You played under Andy Reid. During the Andy Reid era, dudes wanted to come here. This was a destination to come to. So how much do you think is the instability of the coaching position, the instability of the quarterback position? How much of you think that goes into guys saying, I don't know if I want to go there? Because when Andy was here for like almost 15 years.
Well, yeah, and the quarterback position, you can count on the quarterback position not losing you the football game. You can count on the quarterback position to at least be a playoff brand of football when Coach Reid was here. Now, and even when Doug was here, you can figure out that they're at least going to get you to the playoffs, the quarterback position. And it's not just the quarterback position, but when you're talking about bringing in free agency receivers, the receivers are looking at a few things when they're coming in, especially when they're free agency, and they're sought after, highly sought after free agents. 1, can I win there? 2, can I get the ball 3, will I get an opportunity for a second or third contract here? And those things have to do with the quarterback. And if they don't trust that the quarterback can get the ball to them, they're not coming there. They're going to go to a situation where it's more advantageous for their career to continue to thrive, and they can make more money and win at a different place. And so that's something that we have to address as an organization, and also our roster. Top end, down, we're not 1 or 2 players away. And that's what free agency is about. It's about how can I bring a really good, talented, really high talented player to my organization that can put me in the Super Bowl conversation. We're multiple players away. So every player that knows that is saying, hey, I can't, do as much as I want to with this team. They're 4 or 5 players away, not 1 player. And that's what they're saying to us. They're speaking loud, and that's what free agents do. They tell you the truth.
Now, one of the things we know is that, speaking of the wide receiver position specifically, one of the things you and Quentin Michael talked about on Q&A a lot was, the nitty gritty of the game. And one of the things I heard you guys talk a lot about is X and Z and Y with receiver. Nick Sirianni believes, not that you or I believe, but Sirianni believes Devonta Smith can be the number 1 receiver and Quez Watkins can be the number 2. So I ask you, Jason Avant, do they still need an X receiver, or can Devonta be that X and Quez be that Y?
So you're talking about, so for the fans that are listening to this or watching this, X receiver is the guy that he's the guy that lines up on the ball, the split end. And usually that guy has less space between the defender when it's time for them to press him. So he has to be an efficient, release escape artist at the line of scrimmage because he doesn't have as much space. The flanker or the Z receiver can be off the ball. That's the guy that goes in motion and can get assistance when it comes to being off the ball, when it comes to getting open. And Devonta Smith is definitely would be a flanker or a Z receiver in this offense, right? Because he's so small, he's going to need a little assistance getting open. Quez is slight too. So can Quez master his releases in order to get open down the field? I believe that Quez is best suited for outside. For some reason, they started to put him at slot in order to get him on the field earlier this year, and then he was kind of out of position, but he still may do. So do I think that it can happen? Yes, but it's going to take some tutelage, and it's nothing like getting taught by someone that has tested and true battles in the NFL that could have helped them, and they had opportunities. Like I said, free agents didn't want to come here. Do I think they still need someone else, even as a young player? I don't think that you can pass on the Jameson Williams. Like if you get a guy like that falls to you, that runs a 4.2 and that has elite route running ability, which Devonta Smith has, but he's in a Tyreek Hill type of body, you can't pass on that. I don't care how good Quez Watkins is. And you move on from the other ones, but you make that your 3 and roll with it.
The one guy we haven't mentioned is the other first-round pick, Jalen Reagor. Is there hope for him? Do you believe there's more that can be brought out of him? Do you think that there is still a future for him in this offense?
Not in this offense. Like I love Jalen Reagor as a person. I know him. I had a chance to coach there a few years back when he first got drafted. I really didn't coach much, but I was there as a sounding board. But I was there, and so I like him. I believe that he has a lot to offer this game. I just think that the things that bother him is going to happen a lot in this city, right? The comments, the Justin Jefferson comparison, other guys they could have drafted. They hold you accountable in this city. When you drop the ball, you lose a game. All of those things get under his skin. And I don't think that Philadelphia may be the best fit for him. I think he may need new scenery. And I think that this is going to be the most value that you're going to be able to get for him is at this point, because there's still offensive coordinators, receiver coaches that think that this guy is definitely salvageable. And he is salvageable. He just may need a different offense. He may need to be in Kyle Shanahan type of offense where you can get the ball to him on the perimeter, and that's half the football game is just getting him getting the ball in his hands, right? So he may need something like that, and I think that he can thrive in this league. I just think that the city is so down on him, and his mentality and his ego doesn't do well with that portion of it.
You mentioned Jameson Williams earlier for wide receiver from Alabama. The dude's a stud. So obviously, if the Eagles get their hands on him, you go get him. But let me ask you about another guy from the SEC.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of draft guys who I've talked to mention George Pickens from Georgia.
Yep.
Is that a guy you would say if the Eagles got him, he makes sense for this Sirianni offense?
He's a big dude, right? So he fills a lot of boxes. He's a 6'3", 4'7" guy. He's 200 pounds. He's bigger than all the receivers we have with the exception of, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, right? So he fits that mold and that build. Do I think that he's been hurt a bunch, right? Yeah. So he's been hurt a lot in college. So there's not a bunch of tape on this guy. He does have NFL pedigree, his dad being Carl Pickens, right? So there is some pedigree there. And for me watching him as a route runner, I think there's some stiffness. I think that he's a good player when it comes to getting the ball in his hands and beasting guys, but there's going to be a nimbleness that you want if you're going to be picking that high. And I don't necessarily know if he has the ability to make you move out of your spot. I always say that a receiver that can make you move left and right as a defender is going to have the most success in NFL. It's not the guys that are using power. It's not the guys that are jumping over people. It's the guys that make you move left and right. And when you think about the top receivers in this game, Devontae Adams, he can make you move left and right, and he can have a clear path straight up the field. Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley. When you think about all of these guys, a lot of these top upper echelon guys, when it comes to route running, they make you move left and right, and he doesn't have that ability.
Former Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant, co-host of the Q&A podcast on the Inside the Verge podcasting network, joining us here for Football at 4 here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Tuesday. One more draft guy I want to ask you about.
Okay.
6'3", 225. Traylon Burks.
The kid from Arkansas.
Yeah. I watched a lot of Arkansas this year, part because I had some money on it. But the other reason was because, I saw Burks and I was like, this kid, he's an athlete. He's a big stud.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he looks like in the NFL. What have you seen? What do you think he could be?
It's hard. It's so hard to gauge it. It's so hard because he's such a great athlete that's been played at multiple positions from running back to, everything for the University of Arkansas. Like they just want to get the ball in his hands.
Right.
It's very, very hard for a dude that's 225, right? And that's his quoted weight. And listen, everybody, when they give you the quoted weight on paper, it's usually a lot less than what he actually is. So by the time you get to the NFL, he's gonna be 235. So that would be worried. I would be worried about that. But he's a great athlete. When I look at him, I see a guy like Deebo Samuel, that's the first thing that comes to your mind. Like a guy like AJ Brown, a big, powerful dude that can run through tackles and make plays happen. The thing that scares you is that he runs a 4.55, right? So you don't necessarily know. It equates really well when it comes to watching him on film. But if he isn't that dynamic playmaker down the field and with his ball hands, because guys are so much faster, is he going to pan out? And then he's raw. So it's an experiment. And I think, I don't know if this coaching staff has the experience to deal with that type of player here. And that's just my 2 cents. We have a bunch of young coaches, Jonathan Gannon, Nick Sirianni. These are first-year guys. It takes a guy that has some experience in order to work with players like that because they're special talent. So you need someone with a lot of years, with a lot of different ability to use players. I'll say this, Darren Sproles with the Chargers was a lot different Darren Sproles with the Saints, right? We knew Darren Sproles was a good kick returner and he was a good situational back, but we didn't know how good Darren Sproles was until he got to New Orleans.
Right.
And that had to do with experience, and that had to do with Sean Payton being able to see something in him. And I think, Traylon Burks is that type of player that needs an experienced coach.
It's funny you mentioned Deebo Samuel because you just earlier mentioned Jalen Reagor. If you went to a Kyle Shanahan offense, and you kind of just started going down.
I'm a fan of Kyle Shanahan, but go ahead.
No, I'm a fan too. Don't get me wrong. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because can you dig a little deeper into the difference between a Shanahan, a guy who's been around the league like he has, and someone like Sirianni who said he hasn't been doing this as long? Give the audience a better understanding of why that difference is important, that experience.
Well, you got to understand, like, so Kyle is a son of a coach that grew up with one of the best run games in the history of the NFL, right? So his dad's run game has made a lot of dudes money. We thought that Clinton Porter is one of the best running backs in the history of the NFL in Denver because of Shanahan's run game. So he brings that element to it and him running with that. So he has a long lineage and history, and the way that he used players and personnels in order to throw things off is just out of this world. There's a lot of sets that you just have to practice for, that you spend time on, that he's only going to run 10% of the time, but it's something new. He's figuring out ways to get guys up to the second level with the offensive line that's conventional. Instead of pulling the guard, let me pull the tackle. He's playing at a different pace and a different level. And each week he understands that guys are going to scout him, and he's coming up with new information and new stuff for the opposing defensive coordinator. Now, Nick Sirianni has some experience, and he's been around with a bunch of guys, but he has a system that he grew up in. So he's going to be limited to that system for a while until he gets more and more information around him. It's going to happen, but it's just that Kyle Shanahan had the pleasure of being a coach's kid, seeing this game for years and years and years before he got into it. Now you can't like compare that. It's just, that's a priceless comparison for me to have a home field advantage of my dad being an NFL coach for so long.
He's former Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant. He's the co-host of the Q&A podcast on the Inside the Birds podcasting network. And of course, Football at 4 brought to you by Inside the Birds podcast and InsideTheBirds.com. Jason, really appreciate you jumping on today. I feel like I always learn from you and Quentin Michael every time you guys do the pod. I appreciate you jumping on, and enjoy the rest of the offseason.
Oh, I appreciate that, Josh. You take it easy, buddy.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Football at 4, as I said, brought to you by the Inside the Birds podcast and InsideTheBirds.com. Tomorrow on the show, Jeff Mosher will be back, so we'll dig a little deeper into the Eagles and the NFL. I'm going to ask Jeff about some of the things that Jason Avant brought up about Pascal. He's a situational guy, that some of these guys in the draft, as Jason said, some of these guys are not guys who get themselves open. And we know Sirianni said before he wants guys who can get himself open. So a George Pickens, a Treylon Burks, they fit the size category for the Eagles, but maybe they don't fit the category of being able to get themselves open. So we got a lot of stuff we can continue with this conversation, wide receiver with Jeff Mosher tomorrow on the Inside the Birds podcast. And of course, Football at 4 tomorrow, Jeff Mosher. Thursday, Andrew DeCecco. And Friday, NFL insider Adam Kaplan. So a busy week still to come. Football at 4 every single day here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank Seattle City. Still to come Tuesday with Thompson, AP NFL reporter Rob Maaddi. And on the other side, we will check in with JR from WagerPro.com, the Wager Pro app, right here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM.
From the first 4 to the final 4. Whoa! Listen to the NCAA tournament on 97.3 ESPN.
It's time for the madness of hoops. Real sports bettors use the free Prop Swap app to find the best deals on all their favorite teams. Every tournament, prop swappers make thousands of dollars by simply buying and selling college basketball teams. And the best part is you can buy and sell on Prop Swap without ever leaving your couch. Now is the time to find those Cinderellas while the odds are high. Jump on the Prop Swap app, buy a handful of tickets, and enjoy buckets of cash and all the moments of madness. Cinderella stories happen every year, so download the free Prop Swap app today and make sure you're holding great ticket to the big dance. It's easy. If you see a ticket you like but think the price is too high, you can even submit a bid for a price you think is fair. Then buy it. The PropSwap app even has exclusive fantastic features like filtering listed tickets based on best value, a free activity feed to stay in the know with all the big sales. Join the real sports bettors on PropSwap today and PropSwap.com or download the free PropSwap app. PropSwap, where America buys and sells sports bets.
With GMF financing, approved credit excludes Corvette. It's time for March Markdowns at Bennett Chevrolet. All month long, Bennett's paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. No joke. You'll get at least $8,000 for any old rundown rot box. Just get it here for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. But this special offer is only during March Markdowns. Got a good trade? Bring it to Bennett. Hey, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett. Because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker. And there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early. Any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Bring it in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation. Just pure Bennett bliss. Because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers with Windows 11 Pro and get an easy start to your workday. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Pro, Progressive Fence and Rail. Fencing, railing, shower enclosures for home builders and homeowners, customized just for you. Awnings and decks, yeah, we do those too. We get it done right. We get it done fast. With quality products built to last. If you need help around the outside of your home, the only name you need to know is ProgressiveFenceandRail.com.
Searching for fun ways to spend your tax return? Boats for cats. Oh, flotation devices for cats. Don't waste it all on something silly. Spend smarter with Straight Talk. Get our Silver Unlimited plan for $45 a month with unlimited high-speed data and 5 gigs of hotspot data on the nation's largest, most dependable networks with nationwide 5G. If you're looking to get the most out of your refund, your search ends here. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
With South Jersey information you need to know, I'm Vin Avenue. Restaurants would be able to continue serving cocktails to go in sealed containers under legislation advanced by a panel of state lawmakers. Gas prices have been dropping, but they're expected to level off and then trickle a bit higher into April. And a group called Families for Safe Streets New Jersey wants lawmakers to add $750,000 to the budget to address the spike in traffic fatalities. Get more South Jersey information right now on our app. Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow has your forecast. Next.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tonight will probably be our coldest night in about a week. Frost is possible away from coastal areas. Look for a low temperature around 38. Our weather will be calm and dry overnight. The same can't be said about tomorrow as our next storm system rolls in. Spotty shower in the morning, then steadier rain later on. High of only 48. The chance of rain showers will continue on Thursday. Still dreary but warmer, high 62. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
With basketball season in full swing and UFC every weekend, it's time for you to experience sports betting done right at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Get in on all the games you love at the FanDuel Sportsbook, located right off the Atlantic City Boardwalk. The retail sportsbook features 5 betting windows, a large video wall, 20 self-service betting kiosks, and much more. Get your game face on and score big when you bet with FanDuel Sportsbook only at Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig back here in the Matt Black Kia studios on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Yeah, the NCAA tournament, first 2 rounds were absolutely wild. I know a lot of people were focused in, and hopefully you were making some money off of those games this weekend. I'm sure you were if you were locked in with WagerPro.com and the WagerPro app. JR is back for another week here, joining us on a Tuesday. We didn't get a chance to chat with him last Thursday, but he is back this week to chat more basketball. It's a busy basketball month, JR. How you doing?
I'm doing unbelievable, guys. I am absolutely pumped up. I'm so excited about the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 coming up this weekend. But make no mistake, we're not sitting on our hands waiting for Thursday and nothing to do. We've got NBA, we've got NITs, college invitationals. We're making money. So, like tonight, okay, great game at the Garden tonight. You got the Hawks against the Knicks. Here's what I'm going to do. If you want this game, it is absolutely free. Call this number. I'm going to give this game to you absolutely free. Hawks Knicks, guys. Point spread winner. 800-499-3733. That's 800-499-3733. 7:30 TNT matchup. Hawks in the Garden, they're -3. It opened up at 1.5. It's now up to -3. The total opened at 225. It is 226.5. I'm telling you, I got this one locked up. It is free when you call the number. Call 800-499-3733. And you know what? I couldn't be more excited about the upcoming Thursday Sweet 16, and that's because of the score that we were able to make our clientele this past week from Thursday through Sunday. I got to tell you, because Sunday alone, how about 3-0 on Sunday with a round robin parlay and the straight bets? Guys, we absolutely cleaned house, and it didn't cost my clients money to make that bet because we were already up double our money starting from Thursday through Saturday, and we tripled it on that 3-0 Sunday. I'm telling you, couldn't be more excited. I hope everyone listening's pumped up and excited for this upcoming week too.
Yeah, a lot of people in this area are paying attention, whether they have their bets involved, whether they're following the local team. St. Peter's from Jersey City up there. They played in Atlantic City. They won the MAC tournament. Of course, JR is undefeated on the radio with his free picks. So you want to make sure you give that number a call. The first game of the TNT game tonight, Hawks versus Knicks. But JR, back to the tournament. I mean, it was absolutely nuts. We mentioned St. Peter's upsetting, getting all the way to the Sweet 16. But then you got your Old Bloods, you got your Duke, you got the teams like that. So is there a team so far in the tournament that has gotten you the most excited, the most juiced, the most like, I got to sit down and watch this team now?
No question. You just said it. It is the Jersey City team of St. Peter's. I mean, they are the Cinderella story right now. You always say that there's always going to be that one team that comes out of the first weekend, and everybody's talking about it. In fact, there's a lot of guys out there that couldn't even tell you that St. Peter's was in the state of New Jersey. Most guys, I heard a couple of interviews afterwards. One guy said that, from St. Peter's in Virginia. I'm like, that's not in Virginia. That's in New Jersey. So they didn't even know what they were talking about. It was actually kind of comical. And I got to tell you, man, with the way things have been going, I mean, we've been making even in-game bets. I mean, half times, quarters, even as you go. Like, we picked up Arizona was -10 for the game, right? But we were able to get them +1.5 when they were down to TCU by 5 in the second half. These are great bets that you can make along the way where you find the value in-game. And you can do that on the apps these days. You couldn't do that in the old days, but now you can. There's a game up and coming. I mean, look at the Duke Blue Devils, number 9 in the country, playing number 12 Texas Tech, and they're getting a point. They're getting a point. And the public's going to be all over Duke in that game, but I get the feeling that line is Texas Tech -1 for a reason. Seems like a trap to me, and it could be a big old bear trap.
What do you tell people who have a tendency to want to bet the games that they watch? because you know those people, Joe. I'm sure you've run a lot of people. We run them all the time too. You got the person who says, I want to bet the game I'm watching. It might not be the best bet for them, though. What do you tell those people?
I would say most of the guys that make the call and are looking to do business with us, they understand once we lay it out for them that it's not about the entertainment value of watching the game that you're going to, betting the game that you're going to be watching. It's more about finding what we feel is the biggest edge on the board. And in fact, a lot of those times, like on air with you, I've given you guys 6 totals in the NBA. We're 6-0. How many guys you think are excited about betting an under in the NBA? I mean, do you really want to go home and say, don't score, miss it, hold off the clock? Come on, take your time, set the defense, set the offense. You don't want to be doing that. But, I mean, when you're hitting at a rate of 82% betting totals in the NBA, you're going to bet them. Plain and simple. You're going to continue to bet them because it's making you money. It's like, look, when you trade in the stock market, it's not like you're sitting in front of your computer watching it spike up and down all day. So why would it be any different for your sports betting? You want to bet that on something that you think that you've got an edge and that you're going to have an opportunity to beat the book better than the game that you're going to sit down and watch. Now, that doesn't mean if you're going to watch the game, have a little action. Sure, put $25 on it. But if you're going to be serious about your sports betting, you want to hammer when you see that the odds makers made a huge mistake based on the perception of the public over what the outcome of the game is going to be.
JR from the wagerpro.com and Wager Pro app. JR, before I let you go, give out the number one more time. Tonight, you guys talking Knicks and Hawks on that number.
You got it. It's absolutely free. Call the number now. You get the winner of the Knicks-Hawks game free. 800-499-3733. That's 800-499-3733. And I'll go ahead and put a pick on the record. We do it every week. Why not? If we got them, do we have another 30 seconds to give a pick?
Sure. You got it. Go for it.
We're talking another total. It's not in the NBA. It's college basketball. I want you to go under 143. That's under 143 in the Xavier Vanderbilt game. Guys, that's not even going to be close to 143. They'll be lucky if they score 130 points. Go under 143 Xavier Vanderbilt. But look, Hawks Knicks, absolutely free. Call that number, 800-499-3733. And the game is yours, and it gets you on the road to making a huge score this week in college and pro basketball. 800-499-3733. Have a great week. Be safe and go out there and make some money.
JR from the wagerpro.com and Wager Pro app. We'll hear from him again on Thursday. We could double dip at JR this week here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill live in the Matt Blatt Kia studios. Still to come on the show Tuesday with Thompson, Associated Press, NFL reporter Rob Maaddi, and more. And of course, we'll check what you guys have to say. Text board is open. 609-403-0973 is the text board. 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City.
There's only one place for live sports and sports talk in South Jersey. Oh, yeah! Your sports station is 97.3 ESPN.
Welcome to the Caesars Sportsbook Report. The NCAA tournament is underway, and to celebrate, Caesars Sportsbook has released a brand new offer for new users. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and get started with up to $1,100 in first bet insurance. Sign up with promo code RADIO CZR. That's one word, and then place your first bet on the NCAA tournament, hockey, NBA, you name it. Here are the latest betting facts. Check out the NFC East with the Cowboys minus 150, Philadelphia plus 330, the Commanders are plus 500, and the Giants are plus 1,000. You must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey. New users only. Bet amount of qualifying wager returned only if wager is settled as a loss. Paid as a single bet credit. Must be used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promo for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Caesars Sportsbook. Download it, people.
In times of fear, World Vision is there for the most vulnerable. For the last 70 years, we've been standing with kids and families through natural disasters, war, and disease, delivering life-saving aid and helping rebuild lives. And with every act of courage, faith, and love, we do more than just stop the spread of fear. We replace it with hope. Learn more at worldvision.org.
20,000 bonus points, 18.99% variable APR, and a $32 statement credit when you spend $200 before your dog's 8th birthday.
Credit card ads have all sorts of numbers, but they mean nothing to you if you don't get approved. So here's Credit Karma's number, 66. Like members who shop on Credit Karma get approved 66% more often than the national average. Now that's a number you can rely on. Credit Karma. Apply with Karma Confidence.
Member approval rates in 2021, 66% higher than 2020 CFPB national average.
Some people are easily moved.
Wasn't that just the saddest movie ever?
Whatever. Others, not so much.
Oh, look at the puppies!
Just dogs, but smaller, so what? But even those who aren't easily moved.
Look, your long-lost brother's been found.
Oh, hi, Mike. Can be moved by us. Yeah, we're that good.
Use Clark's Moving and Storage in Rio Grande for your next local or long-distance move. Visit Clark's Moving and Storage online at clarksmoving.net.
Did you know that doctors use Mucinex? That's right. Mucinex is the #1 OTC brand doctors trust for themselves and their families. When you have cough and chest congestion, you need a medicine that's effective and long-lasting. So with cold and flu season upon us, why would you use anything else? Mucinex 12-hour DM extended release bilayer tablets allow for immediate and extended release, relieving cough and chest congestion for 12 hours. Grab Mucinex and put yourself back in control. Use as directed.
Stop junk sleep before it spirals out of control. For a limited time, visit Mattress Firm and get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen bed for the price of a twin. Save up to $500 and get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. You can't put a price on good sleep, but it's better on sale. Unjunk your sleep. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com today.
What will you discover at Rider University? Endless possibilities. Join us on Sunday, April 24th at 10 a.m. for an in-person open house. You'll meet current students, tour campus, and grab a bite at our food trucks. At Rider, choose from 70-plus majors and gain hands-on experience through internships, fieldwork, and more. Your academic advisor and career coach will help you create a plan that brings your goals to life. And Rider offers guaranteed career support so you're prepared for what's next. Register today at rider.edu/open house.
Want your biggest possible tax refund this year? Jackson Hewitt and Walmart have an offer you won't want to miss. Your Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will prepare your federal return for as little as $59 and no more than $179. Taxes done where you shop. Your biggest federal refund guaranteed for no more than $179. Stop by Jackson Hewitt in any participating Walmart store today because this offer won't last. Terms apply.
If you suspect you have mold in your home, water damage in your basement or crawl space, or a foundation problem, call Perfect Basement. If you're selling your home, address the problems before your buyer discovers them. Perfect Basement provides free, no-pressure inspections for waterproofing, mold remediation, and foundation repair. They're family-owned in South Jersey, licensed and certified, and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Visit perfectbasement.com and check out their exclusive price guarantee and great reviews. That's perfectbasement.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. 4 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by PropSwap, America's sports betting marketplace. Say your sports bet, take your profit. Find out how at PropSwap.com or by downloading the PropSwap app today. You can join the conversation. We've covered a lot of ground today here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Football at 4 with Jason Avant. A lot of great stuff from him today. Talked Sixers and NBA Eastern Conference with Bryan Toporek from Forbes Sports, the NBA podcast, and then Phillies in the first hour with Frank Klose. Of course, the Phillies mailbag right now over at 97.3ESPN.com, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. You know, one of the things that Jason brought up, I think that it's important to circle back to it that he said earlier. And, you know, it's something that I think that fans don't always want to look at, but it's something that's important, which is, you know, Jason talked about today the value of Kyle Shanahan having so much NFL football coaching experience compared to Nick Sirianni. And this gets back to what I was saying in the last hour about how, I believe that whatever the over-under on wins for the Jags this year down in Jacksonville, you got to double it because of Doug Peterson. And to me, I think that when you look at football, I think we tend to forget how important experience is. Everyone wants to fall in love with the cool thing, the exciting guy, all these different things. And we tend to forget that just as much a part of, the whole scenario when it comes to, if a coach is going to be good or bad is experience. What applicable real world experience can this guy bring into a situation? And I think that, when he was talking about he said, if Jalen Reagor played in Kyle Shanahan's offense, Jason Avant was saying that Reagor might be more productive because Shanahan finds a way to get his guys open. Shanahan schemes guys open. He talked about a guy like Treylon Burks, a guy who's been mock drafted to the Eagles. And he said, well, Burks is a guy who doesn't get open on his own. You have to scheme him open. And he compared him to Deebo Samuel. And I think a lot of fans are like, well, that's a lot of complimentary, a lot of talk about the 49ers offense, but it's for good reason. Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL because he doesn't want his guys to bail him out every time. He has built-in procedures and systems and scheme and route running and reads that take the pressure off of the players to have to bail him out of situations. I felt there were many times last year that Nick Sirianni was depending on Jalen Hurts to bail him out of a questionable play call or a questionable down and distance or a situation that, maybe Sirianni didn't see the field properly and he was asking his quarterback to basically go out there and make things happen for him. The receivers, we've heard Sirianni say he likes receivers who can get separation, find ways to get open themselves. The problem is that most of the teams in the NFL don't have those guys either, right? So, unless you have a Chris Godwin or a Mike Evans or a Tyreek Hill or a guy who is so high level, Devontae Adams is the guy that Jason Avant brought up. Unless you have one of these guys who's so elite that he's always going to get himself open down in and down out, you got to find ways to put your players in a position to be successful. And I can only hope Sirianni learns this from last year. It's something that, as Jason Avant said, Kyle Shanahan already knows some of these things because his dad coached in the NFL for decades. And now he has coached in the NFL for decades. And his dad won a Super Bowl with John Elway. And Kyle Shanahan has been the 2 Super Bowls as one as an offensive coordinator and one as a head coach. That experience is valuable. Sirianni doesn't have all that track record yet. So there's a part of me that looks at the Eagles and says, can Nick Sirianni evolve as a coach enough to stop asking his players to bail him out of certain situations because his play calling isn't at the same level as, let's say, a Sean McVay or a Kyle Shanahan? Go back to the NFC Championship game. That one interception by Matthew Stafford, and the same thing happened on another interception in the Super Bowl. Stafford came to the sideline in both cases. 2 interceptions, 2 different games. And McVay said, that was my bad, my fault. Well, hold on. I thought Matthew Stafford is supposed to be this quality NFL quarterback. I thought Matthew Stafford was supposed to know how to play football. I thought Stafford was, one of the top guys in the NFL in the last 10 years. And fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. Why is the coach saying, my bad, my fault? He's saying it because the players, if they're not put in a position to be successful by the coaches, then it doesn't matter. I said it earlier in the show. Trevor Lawrence is going to have a completely different environment with Doug Peterson. He's going from just a miserable schmuck in Urban Meyer, because if you read all the reports, I mean, Urban Meyer was belittling people. He was condescending. Trevor Lawrence had to beg Urban Meyer to put his two best weapons back on the field because both guys were at Urban Meyer's doghouse. James Robinson, the running back, and Marvin Jones, the wide receiver. He doesn't have to do that now with Doug Peterson. Now, I'm not saying Doug Peterson is going to win a Super Bowl in Jacksonville, but I'm saying he's at 100% an upgrade over Urban Meyer was last year. So these are things that Sirianni has to get better at. So when we talk about Zach Pascal signed with the Eagles, Treylon Burks maybe being mocked to the Eagles, George Pickens, Jameson Williams, Robert Woods wanting to go to Tennessee instead of coming to Philadelphia. Allen Robinson taking more money to go to the Rams and taking less money to come to Philadelphia. These are just examples of situations where, as Mosher said yesterday, Jeff Mosher of Football at 4 and Jason Avant said today, people don't want to come to Philadelphia because, for example, the coaching situation is more stable in Tennessee. The guy in Los Angeles has a Super Bowl ring. The guy in San Francisco has been to 2 Super Bowls. These coaches are attracting these players, and Nick Sirianni right now is attracting Zach Pascal. And again, Zach Pascal may flourish in Philadelphia for all we know. It's not a diss on Sirianni or Pascal. It's an understanding that the coach has a responsibility in these situations. And of course, on the text board, someone disagrees with me at 609-403-0973. Texter says, Josh, I think you're wrong. I think the coach and the player make each other better. If you have a lousy quarterback, the coach can't make him look good. Well, again, go back to Shanahan. Shanahan has won games in the regular season with Jimmy Garoppolo, CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins, Matt Ryan. All different quarterbacks, all different varieties of talent and skill. He can make certain players look good. Are you telling me that Deebo Samuel would have the same production in Nick Sirianni's offense that he had in San Francisco? No, because Shanahan is using him in formation that Sirianni would never call. Yes, if you have a lousy quarterback, the coach can only do so much with that lousy quarterback. Okay? For example, I'm just using as an example, Mark Sanchez didn't work out in Philadelphia. Matt Barkley didn't work out in Philadelphia because it didn't matter who was around those guys. They have limitations. Now, to your other question, the texter says, so you're saying Jalen Hurts can't read a defense. Not what I said at all. What I'm saying is that you have a situation where, and I'm just making up a situation off the top of my head. 3rd and 8, 3 wide receivers on the field. And your 3 wide receivers are Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, and Jalen Reagor in the slot. Your tight end is Dallas Goedert. Your blocking running back is Kenny Gainwell. Jalen Hurts is in the shotgun. Jalen Hurts is given 2 plays in the huddle by the coach. You have your option A and option B, right? Again, I'm painting a picture. So you ask the question, I'm going to follow through on this painting picture here. The quarterback gets to the line and realizes that the initial play A, they called in, is not going to work because the blitz is coming from the left side and the blocking protection is on the wrong side. So he shifts the protection to catch the blitz. All right. Now he's picking up the blitz from the left side. The blocking has been moved. Then he realizes that the safety is also blitzing on the play because he realizes the other team is no longer in a cover 3 zone. Now they're in a cover 1 with a safety coming hot. So now he has to go to option B that was called for Sirianni. Now, he knows that option B only gives him so many seconds to get the ball out of his hand. Now he's hoping that Jalen Reagor gets open so he can be the hot read. Because the other progressions for the wide receivers are just going to take too long. So now he's hoping that Gainwell can pick up the blitzer. He's hoping that Reagor gets open. He's hoping that Goddard gets out of his cut fast enough. And if he doesn't, he's going to have to run for the first down or at least get enough time for Smith and scramble or Watkins and scramble for them to get open. Sirianni hasn't given him the option where the play is going to get those guys open. As Sirianni calls it, he wants his receivers to find ways to get open. So now Jalen Hurts has to bail out the head coach from this play I just described to you by either hoping the hot route gets open fast enough or by scrambling around until somebody gets open and maybe even wasting the play by having to run and maybe not make the first down. That's what I'm talking about. When the quarterback has to bail out the coach for a play. And Patrick Mahomes has done this for Andy Reid in Kansas City. Joe Burrow did this in the Super Bowl for Zach Taylor. We've seen numerous times Justin Herbert bail out 2 different coaching staffs in, I almost said San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers. You know, the quarterback sometimes has to bail out the play caller because option A gets moved to option B because of what the defense is showing you. And then you don't have confidence as a quarterback that what the defense is showing you, the offensive play is going to handle well enough. So the quarterback either has to scramble or hope the hot route gets open because he knows that fill-in-the-blank receiver can't get open on his own because his own coach didn't scheme the guy open. Which gets back to why Sean McVay, when Matthew Stafford threw different interceptions in different games in the postseason this year, pointed to himself and said, my bad. The interceptions go on the coach's record, only the win-loss does. But the quarterback, like a Matthew Stafford, looks at his coach and says, Coach, we'll get it next time. Because when the coach says, my bad in a situation like that, the coach didn't give the quarterback the best opportunity to be successful on the field with the players on the field. I hope that wasn't too deep of a explanation for all of that. Pete Thompson's in the studio, and he's just looking at me like, what the heck did I just walk into? Tuesday with Thompson with PT live in the studio next.
It's time for the madness of hoops. Real sports bettors use the free Prop Swap app to find the best deals on all their favorite teams. Every tournament, prop swappers make thousands of dollars by simply buying and selling college basketball teams. And the best part is you can buy and sell on Prop Swap without ever leaving your couch. Now is the time to find those Cinderellas while the odds are high. Jump on the Prop Swap app, buy a handful of tickets, and enjoy buckets of cash and all the moments of madness. Cinderella stories happen every year, so download the free Prop Swap app today and make sure you're holding great ticket to the big dance. It's easy. If you see a ticket you like but think the price is too high, you can even submit a bid for a price you think is fair. Then buy it. The Prop Swap app even has exclusive fantastic features like filtering listed tickets based on best value, a free activity feed to stay in the know with all the big sales. Join the real sports bettors on PropSwap today and PropSwap.com or download the free PropSwap app. PropSwap, where America buys and sells sports bets.
Dorothy Roofing. Call 1-877-97-Kevin.
Do you own a commercial property? Are you in need of a dependable, honest roofer? For repairs, replacements, coatings, and more, give us a call today at 1-877-97-Kevin.
Wizard quality comes with DorothyRoofing.com.
Stop by Church's for the high-flying flavor combination of our Texas tenders and shrimp meal today. It's butterfly shrimp alongside made-from-scratch Texas tenders, served spicy or original for $6. Church's, welcome to the great state of flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after a mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power, performance, and reliability your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence. Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We're out of the brand name, but we do have the generic version of
Serene's Pharmacy can't keep up with allergy season.
Who's next in line?
They need certified technicians to alleviate the headache.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry for the wait. We'll have your prescription filled soon. I need some help.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's that time of year again. Wanderlust sets in, and you feel it in your bones. It's time to hit the road, but not before you hit Parkview RV with their incredible 2.5-acre expansion. 8 acres of the hottest names in recreational vehicles: Northern Light, Salem, Durango, Forest River, Columbus, Winnebago, Lance, Thor, and many more. And featuring the new A-Liner, the newest look in RVs, sleek, contemporary. And yours for just over $100 a month. That's right, just over $100 a month. With the low prices Parkview RV is famous for on an amazing selection of new and pre-owned motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, towables, truck campers, and pop-ups. The selection is unprecedented, and so are the savings at Parkview RV, the largest RV dealer on the peninsula and in the entire tri-state area. Spring is in the air, so check out Parkview RV, Route 13 in North Smyrna, across from Delaware's only rest area. Parkview RV, home of the great deal. Based on 180 months and 5.99% APR.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook. But that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. So we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. From P&G Professional.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for more details. That's MattBlattKiaNJ.com.
It's gotta be
Matt Blatt Kia.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers, and Flyers.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Tuesday edition. I almost forgot what day it was. That's where my life is right now. That person chuckling in the background you might have heard was Pete Thompson. A Tuesday with Thompson with the PT live in the studio.
How can you forget what day it is when it's Tuesday with Thompson?
Well,
it's on the board.
You know my life.
This is weird sitting on this side.
Yeah, well, the other thing is when you usually sit to my left.
I did used to do that quite a bit. In fact,
now you're sitting in the Billy Schwein seat.
Yeah, this is all going wrong. Yeah, can we start the segment over again? Now, you know what? It's funny. I didn't even think about sitting in the middle because I just sort of thought, like, for StreamYard that I needed the laptop, but I'm sure the laptop could have moved over there too. So I don't know what the heck I was thinking.
Well, you're there now, so
yeah, I'm not moving now. Now I'm settled. I'm in.
Now you're stuck.
Yeah.
Now you're stuck there. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Josh. It's good to be here in person in the Matt Blatt Kia studio and, do a little segment, I don't think you and I talked about John Clayton. Mom, it's time for my segment. I was so sad to see that John Clayton had passed away. I mean, that's one of the epic Sports Center promos of all time, in my opinion. And, you read The Athletic? I think you do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a real long piece in The Athletic by the Seattle Seahawks beat writer who had taken over the beat after John Clayton had left the beat. And it was really great because it was things like, John Clayton would call him and then he'd leave the whole message and he'd be like, John Clayton, 314, blah, blah, blah. Like he'd give his whole number. And he's like, dude, I don't need your number. Plus, that whole thing where Gil always talks about, who actually listens to voicemails anymore either. But John Clayton would always leave a voicemail. The other thing that was funny, he said, was John Clayton used to call him and like he'd get on the phone. So let's say like I'm John Clayton and you're Josh, right? And you'd be like, hey, John. I'd be like, hey, Josh, all right, gotta go. I'm getting another call, and like the call would be like a GM or a tip or something like that. So it's like, who calls you just to hang up on you? But that was John Clayton, but he was one of a kind, man. And he really, he used to have detailed rosters, and he taught this guy how to make detailed rosters and follow it. This is way before the internet would always update things. You'd actually have to call each team and say,
Right.
like, who did you release today? Or what transactions did you make today? And stuff like that. So I didn't know that I was going to start off by talking about John Clayton, but I didn't talk about him a lot over the weekend. So there you go. I still had that in the bank.
Well, here's the thing. So I talked to some about Clayton yesterday on the show. I told the audience, and I'll rehash it again today for anyone who didn't get to hear it, because I'll share it with you as well, Pete. One of the things in our business is that we're very familiar with the people, who they are behind the scenes, than who they are when the microphone is on.
That's true.
They're not always
now.
the same.
I'm not much different, yeah, but I mean there are
Right.
some people that are completely different,
and there's a list of them. Let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
So John Clayton was very consistent off the air. Every good story you hear about John Clayton is amplified, because I would call John Clayton as Gil's producer, and John Clayton would say, hey, Josh, how are you doing today? How are things in Jersey? And then he'd ask me about like different stories, like how are people reacting to this with the Eagles? Or, you're still doing that Ben Simmons thing over there. Like John Clayton was so plugged into the world that he's talking to me about like when there was COVID, he's like, how's your family dealing with the COVID? How are you doing? You're by yourself in the studio still. Because I would tell him I'm by myself in the studio. Remember, Gil was on his porch
I do
at
remember
one
that.
point.
Yeah.
So like all these little things, like John Clayton actually would talk to people. He cared about enough of the person who's calling him, he's never seen or met before, as the person he's talking to. Like that's who he was. So every great story you hear about John Clayton, he was a better human being than he was an NFL insider. And he was a legend as an NFL insider. Bill Polian said that John Clayton knew as much, if not more, than almost any GM in the NFL about teams in the league. So if John Clayton was this great person at his job, and he was a better person at being a human being, I was telling the audience yesterday, my hope as a human being myself is that I can aspire to be that, to be better as a human being than I am as a professional like John Clayton was.
Well, I have one John Clayton story from, face to face. And that's the other thing too. Like, if you ask Mike Gill, if you ask yourself, the thousands of guests that you have on, and the people, whether they're regular people that call in or whether they're people that you only have on one time, but a lot of times in the radio world, you don't actually ever meet these people. You're just having them on as a weekly guest, or you talk to them on the other end of a phone line, and that, or maybe StreamYard now, but that's it.
Right.
And so in this case, when TV 40 was still going, I was up covering the Eagles. Must have been the 04 season, I think, because it was certainly TO and all that, I remember. But John Clayton was there in a post-game press conference, and we're all waiting for like Andy Reid to come in and talk. And he's sitting there, and I kind of nodded him, and he had gotten down there ahead of the rest of the crowd, and he says, let me ask you something. You pretty familiar with this area? I said, absolutely, sir. And I said, and I love your work. He said, oh, thanks. And he says, I got to get to the airport when I leave here. What's the best way to get to the airport? And what I told him was, everybody's going to try to get on 95, and you can get on 95 and go to the airport. But, if you really want to give yourself a better chance, avoid just jumping on 95 with everybody else that's just trying to go home. And I said, go by, and I gave him directions like, you go out of here, then you double back here. And this was before the, Philly PD and the way, have you ever been up in the stadium area now?
Sure.
When an event lets out, especially the Eagles, they have this whole traffic flow plan that, to me, is
they
ridiculous.
Funnel you into it.
Oh, they block off streets, and you can't go this way and you can't turn that way. But
it's a mess.
Back in the day, you could basically, it was South Philly, make a U-turn wherever you want and double back on yourself and do whatever you need to do. So I got him out of the media lot, and I had him going on Pattison toward FDR Park and away from the stadium complex area, and then just go across the Platte Bridge. And so I told him to do that, and he said, thanks, I appreciate it. And then like a month later, he was back for another game, and he saw me, and he said, hey, I just wanted to thank you for those directions. He says, I probably would have missed my flight and still been stuck on 95 if you didn't tell me that way. I'm going to go that way all the time. And I was like, that's nice. I mean, first I was surprised that he even remembered that I gave him the directions, but then that's the kind of guy he was.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. But yeah, John Clayton passed away, for those who don't know, over the weekend. And all the reports are it came on very suddenly. It was something where one day he was fine, the next day he's in the hospital, and a few days later he's gone. So very sad with John Clayton. Maybe a little more positive, Pete.
By all means, I didn't mean to lead with death. I apologize. Who's producing this segment? Certainly not me.
Pete Thompson, Tuesday with Thompson here. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. The Sixers won last night.
Oh, yeah, they did. I watched that whole game.
But no Embiid, no Harden. They have Embiid and Harden. They blow a 16-point lead on Sunday. So, Pete, how are you feeling about the Sixers right now?
I mean, it's interesting. There's a couple things that I took away from that Sixers game. First of all, you absolutely expected them not to be able to pull it off. And not only did they, but, Maxey had a great night. 13 of his 28 points coming in the fourth quarter alone. They win 113-106. But I thought what was so exciting to me is the way that they moved the basketball and that the bench came alive. The game before, obviously, was the one that everybody remembers with Harden. Just basically ISO for Harden, can't do it. ISO for Harden, and look, the pick and roll and the step back threes and all that's nice. But, I think when they distribute the basketball and get the bench involved, that's to me when they seem unbeatable. I know there's only so many minutes to go around and there's only one basketball, but like to see Shake Milton have 20 points last night or Furkan, and I know people can be mixed on Furkan, but 18 points out of Furkan, if you just go through there, even Niang was a very efficient 6 for 13 for 15 points, and Tobias Harris was 6 for 12 for 14 points. I thought, I didn't realize it while I was watching the game, but I looked in some of the stuff today, and I realized that they were doing what St. Peter's has been doing to great effect in the NCAA tournament, which is that dribble and weave offense, right? They basically do like high ball screens, and they're basically constantly on the move until they get like either a mismatch or they get a step on somebody. And I thought that was pretty interesting to go back and go like sort of on a deep dive of what that dribble and weave offense is all about. And it certainly worked. So let's see if they can now incorporate that when they play the Lakers tomorrow night. And, of course, I won't be able to stay up that late. I'll probably watch the first quarter, but we'll see. We'll see who plays, too, I guess, is the other thing, right?
Well, supposedly they're going to be full go for the road trip.
Okay.
That's the working theory. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know all their plans, but just looking at their schedule, okay, and as you mentioned, you can hear Sixers basketball tomorrow night. Tom McGinnis on the call right here on 97.3 ESPN. But for the Sixers, you look at their schedule moving forward, okay, they got this 3-game road trip, Pete.
Right.
They come back for one game, then go back on the road, and I'm just like, who made this schedule?
Yeah, it's pretty intense toward the end. I mean, what I saw going into the Raptors game was it was 5 games in the next 7 days, 13 games total in the final 22 games of the regular season, and like you're talking about, they're at the Lakers, then they're at the Clippers, right? And then they play at the Suns. And
now, the good news is those games are spaced out a little bit. There's a day or two in between those days. So there's no back-to-back right there.
Right. But then when they come back from that, then it gets really intense. And
Right.
and it's crazy too, because you sit there and you ask yourself, like at one point I remember when they asked Doc about they basically were asking him about what he thought with the playoffs and who he wanted to play and stuff. And he's like, you know what? The games are the games. And when we get to the end, then they're going to tell us what seed we are and we're going to go play. Like he looked at it very c'est la vie, I thought, and he's not wrong, I mean, but and we know what happened when they had the number 1 seed and how that worked out for him. So how much does seeding matter? I think you said this to me either in person or via text. As long as you're a top 4 seed and you basically have home court advantage to start with and through the first couple rounds, that's all you need.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about them getting the 1 seed. I'm just worried about them being healthy. I think that's the big thing. And if Embiid and Harden have to sit a couple extra games to ensure that, then all right, I guess. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, poo-poo it per se. I just felt like, and I heard other people bring this up before, it felt like they should have sat, and Legler brought this up on TV this morning.
He brought it up in a very demonstrative way, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not going to be as demonstrative as he was. Yeah, but I thought he made a good point. You could have sat Embiid and Harden against the Raptors.
Right.
And then played them against the Heat. And then you would have had this feather in the cap for Embiid and Harden in their, in their column against the Heat. Instead, the feather in the cap against the Heat is for Maxey and the band of misfit toys.
Yeah, but then the question is how much does that benefit I don't want to call them the misfit toys per se, but the bench. I mean, you're not going to win a title with just Joel Embiid and James Harden and maybe Maxey, but some extra name will have to hit a key shot at some point or have some big contributing moment. And, it's interesting to me, like, yes. So now, are they in the 2 seed right now? I mean,
they're in the 2 seed right now. They're tied with the Bucks for 2.5 games behind first place.
Right. But you saw that, there's one head-to-head matchup still remaining with Milwaukee. That's on March 29th.
That is correct.
And then I saw some articles today about, do they really want to be in that 2 seed? They probably don't. Like, it's almost like a game of hot potato. Nobody wants to have that 2 seed.
Well, the problem is that there's a theory out there the Nets could end up being, the 7 seed, which may or may not happen. I mean, there's so many. That play-in tournament is almost like playing roulette. Like, there's so many variables that come from those 4 teams because
which are currently Toronto, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Atlanta.
Right. So, for example, if the Nets have to play the Raptors, Kyrie can't play that game in Toronto.
That's correct.
So Toronto could win that game and they would be the 7 seed.
Wait, he can't play the game in Toronto. He can't play the game at home either, right?
Right. So, well, what if you're the Nets and you end
Kyrie, you are the gift that keeps on
If you're
giving.
the Nets and you end up being the 8th seed and now it's Nets versus Heat, Nets can be knocked out of the first round, Pete.
Right.
Or another scenario, if the Nets somehow got the 7 seed and Toronto ends up with the 8 seed, okay, well, the Sixers end up in the 3 seed is the only way to technically avoid the Nets in the first round. But again, it gets back to this whole thing with, can Kyrie play? Can he not play?
Right.
I don't know.
And not for nothing, but aren't the Boston Celtics only a game back right now? I mean,
yeah,
and they're red hot.
They're right on the heels.
Didn't the Sixers sweep all the games against the Celtics too? But what does the regular season really mean in the scheme of things?
Well, I mean, depends on who you ask. If you ask one person, they say the regular season is a gauge of what teams will do in the postseason. Or you ask Mike Gill,
I don't think so.
Tuesday night in February, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, to me, I think the game is so different from the regular season to the playoffs. In the regular season, I think the game is very, full court, run and gun. And I think when you get to the playoffs, that's when you get into a half court style offense and half court style defense. And ultimately, at the end of the day, can you defend? I think is what wins championships. And when we've had some hiccups from the Sixers lately, it's been their inability to defend, and that Toronto game where they have a 16-point lead and they blew it, and that's their inability to defend. It wasn't, all the headlines go down to, boy, Harden wasn't himself and he couldn't get the job done when it came down to it. Yeah. How about a stop on the other end of the floor too? And, when they've lost games because of their defense.
All right, Pete, before I let you go, because Rob Maaddi we still have coming up on the show today, I got to ask you about the Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Your reaction to the Giroux trade. You glad it's over? They got a good return.
Oh, I don't think they got a good return.
You're indifferent. You just don't care anymore.
No, I care. I think unfortunately it's sort of come out now that G kind of held him over to Coles, and he had every right to do so. I mean, that's what a no movement clause is, but it's basically come out now that Claude Giroux told Chuck Fletcher, Florida. And Chuck Fletcher's like, but what about Colorado? Florida. How about St. Louis? Florida. I mean, like that basically. And when you have one team that you can negotiate with and the team basically knows that's the place where the guy wants to go to, you're not really going to get a huge return back. So initially, when they got back Owen Tippett, people weren't very happy with the quality of the player that they got back. At the end of the day, I think Chuck Fletcher kind of got the best that he could get back. And, when you sum up the whole weekend, then you've got Claude Giroux going out, Justin Braun. That was a good flip. Like if the show was flip this house or flip this player, what they got Justin Braun for originally and what they got back from him in return, they improved on that. You knew Derek Brassard was probably going to go. And then, they sent out a 4th round pick, Connor Bunneman, German, not German Billy, German, Rabitsov, and then a 5th round pick. So, there's a lot of talk, and I heard Kevin Durso saying that this 2023 draft is supposed to be very deep, and so I think they were trying to acquire, they're kind of doing a little Sam Hinkie or Howie Roseman.
Yeah, a little stockpile.
Acquiring some assets. But look, I think they, the first game that Tippett played against the Islanders on Sunday, he looked great, even though he's the spitting image of Wade Allison, by the way. If they end up on a line together, you're going to be like, who the hell's which one's who's who? I mean, they literally, if you haven't seen that, Google Wade Allison, Owen Tippett, and they literally are like the Weasley brothers, the Gingers, they could be on an all ginger line.
Oh, yeah, that would also, what about the odds? They talk about the NHL Network. What are the odds that they traded Giroux for another redhead? Like, I mean, because they had Scotty Hartnell on NHL Network last night on the fly.
Nice.
And they were talking about they were like, hey, he's like, what are the odds the Flyers would trade a redhead for a redhead?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, only the Flyers.
And the other people who were on the panel just started laughing hysterically because they didn't think of that before he said it. You know what I mean?
And there was another thing I thought that was nice too, was that the building was actually full. Now, not full, not like 22,000 or 21,000, but they had a solid 16 to 18 in there. And
right.
I'm telling you, Josh, I've been up there a couple times this season. They've had they've counted it as 10 and it feels like 8,
right.
And that place is too big for when it has 8,000 fans. Somebody can yell from the, section 107 down on the ice and they're hearing it. I mean, it's crazy. No matter how loud they turn up the audio on the music, which I hate, but I digress.
Tuesday with Thompson, Pete Thompson in the studio this time.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
So will I be talking to you Friday for Happy Hour Friday?
Believe it or not, I'm glad you brought that up. Friday is the ACJFL banquet, and it's the 65th ACJFL banquet. It's a one night for one league. It's at Bally's AC. And so, no, I'm not able because I'm going to be a little busy at that point. I'm the MC of the thing. Ron Jaworski is the keynote speaker. And it's so cool because it's all guys that played in the Atlantic County Junior Football League and then went on to have success at bigger levels, including the NFL. And there's guys like Amir Abdullah, and there's guys like Joe Callahan and Dave Klemick and John Stone and Dino Hall and, even Greg Roman. I'm looking forward to seeing Greg Roman. Because here's the Holy Spirit guy that's the Baltimore offensive coordinator. And it's just cool that he chooses to come back and be a part of this. If you want tickets, there's still some tickets available and room packages too. You can combine the ticket and the room. It's acjflcelebration.com. acjflcelebration.com. So, yeah, that's another reason I came in today, because this is my one-off for this week. So,
well, Pete, it was good to see you.
Thanks, bud. Right back. I can stay for the Maaddi segment if you'd like. If you need me.
I'm good. I appreciate it.
Oh, he's kicking me out. No, it's all good. But I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
By the way, really quick before I let you go. So you'll be with Billy this weekend, correct?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I will be there.
Sunday, right?
Yeah. Did you hear where he couldn't understand the concept of the Phillies being either under the luxury tax or over the luxury tax?
Nothing surprises
me. He brings in these newspapers that he doesn't understand are like a day and a half old. And then he holds the newspaper up and basically yells at me like, but it says it right here. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not the most current information. My girlfriend has lectured me. God bless her. Susan has said, I cannot call him a moron anymore. She's like, you're being too mean to him. You have to be nicer to him. And I'm like, it's really hard to be nice to a guy when he's being so dumb. But I love him. What were you going to say?
Pete Thompson, Sunday, locker room with Billy Schwartz.
Yes, I will be there. Yes, and looking forward to it. And by that point, I might have some ACJFL stories to pass.
I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press next. I'm going to try to recompose myself on the other side.
From the first four to the final four. Whoa! Listen to the NCAA tournament on 97.3 ESPN.
The end of the basketball season always includes good food, great drinks, even better friends. Jack Daniels has been a star player for over 150 years and is proud to be here again this year. Loud cheers for a big dunk or a toast to a timely three-pointer. Jack Daniels is best served at the center of the action. Make Jack Daniels a part of your tournament tradition by grabbing a bottle locally where fine spirits are sold. This year, take the action to another level by logging on to DraftKings and signing up for the Whiskey and Wings Challenge for your chance to win cash prizes courtesy of Jack Daniels. No purchase necessary. Drinks smooth. Draft smart. Make it count.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook. But that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. And we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. From P&G Professional.
Stop junk sleep before it spirals out of control. For a limited time, visit Mattress Firm and get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen bed for the price of a twin. Save up to $500 and get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. You can't put a price on good sleep, but it's better on sale. Unjunk your sleep. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com today.
Some people are easily moved.
Wasn't that just the saddest movie ever?
Whatever. Others, not so much.
Oh, look at the puppies!
Just dogs, but smaller, so what? But even those who aren't easily moved.
Look, your long-lost brother's been found.
Oh, hi, Mike. Can be moved by us. Yeah, we're that good.
Use Clark's Moving and Storage in Rio Grande for your next local or long-distance move. Visit Clark's Moving and Storage online at clarksmoving.net.
Has this ever happened to you? My friend was telling me about his new pair of headphones, so I looked them up online. Now, everywhere I go is a creepy ad for those headphones I looked at one time. I hate that feeling like I'm being watched. I got DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. It's that simple. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
With South Jersey information you need to know, I'm Vin Avenue. Restaurants would be able to continue serving cocktails to go in sealed containers under legislation advanced by a panel of state lawmakers. Gas prices have been dropping, but they're expected to level off and then trickle a bit higher into April. And a group called Families for Safe Streets New Jersey wants lawmakers to add $750,000 to the budget to address the spike in traffic fatalities. Get more South Jersey information right now on our app. Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow has your forecast. Next.
Want your biggest possible tax refund this year? Jackson Hewitt and Walmart have an offer you won't want to miss. Your Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will prepare your federal return for as little as $59 and no more than $179. Taxes done where you shop. Your biggest federal refund guaranteed for no more than $179. Stop by Jackson Hewitt in any participating Walmart store today because this offer won't last. Terms apply.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tonight will probably be our coldest night in about a week. Frost is possible away from coastal areas. Look for a low temperature around 38. Our weather will be calm and dry overnight. The same can't be said about tomorrow as our next storm system rolls in. Spotty shower in the morning, then steadier rain later on. High of only 48. The chance of rain showers will continue on Thursday. Still dreary but warmer, high 62. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
With basketball season in full swing and UFC every weekend, it's time for you to experience sports betting done right at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Get in on all the games you love at the FanDuel Sportsbook, located right off the Atlantic City Boardwalk. The retail sportsbook features 5 betting windows, a large video wall, 20 self-service betting kiosks, and much more. Get your game face on and score big when you bet with FanDuel Sportsbook only at Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Don't forget, tomorrow on the show, we are giving tickets away. You can't even order these tickets yet online. Tickets go on sale Friday morning at 10 a.m. Amy Schumer coming back to Atlantic City Ovation Hall, Ocean Resort Casino on Saturday, August 6th. The award-winning comedian, actor, director, producer. Well, she's coming back to Atlantic City with her comedy tour, but you have a chance to win tickets tomorrow before they ever go on sale. Just make sure you listen to Sports Bash tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN for your chance to win a pair of tickets. We will give out a pair of tickets during the show tomorrow, and you can only win them on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. If you don't want the tickets, of course, you can go to theoceanac.com to get them at 10 a.m. on Friday. Back to the NFL conversation right now. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. He's also the co-host of the Faith on the Field show, which you can hear every weekend here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, how you doing today?
Yo, what's up, Josh? It's been a crazy week in the NFL, but how about this week for the Phillies? Nick Castellanos has just been announced as official, which we
official,
do
right?
Along, so you know they're right in my backyard, so I'm gonna head down there tomorrow and get to greet Mr. Castellanos. So that'll be cool.
Now, Rob, while you brought the topic up, so I'll ask you right off the bat here. You know, for me this week, I keep saying, listen. They got Schwarber, they got Castellanos, they got all of Harper's friends, but who's playing defense?
Yeah, it's a great question. They're going to have to win a whole lot of ball games, 8-7 and 9-5, and outslug teams because they are going to be right now. By the looks of it, they're going to be defensively deficient. And when you look at who they across the board in the infield, Hoskins at first, Boehm at third, and until Stott takes over at short. Didi is also not the greatest defender at shortstop, and Gene at second. This is a defense that is, except for JT Realmuto behind the plate, they're lacking, and it can cost them some games. And they're counting on their offense to hit their way to a winning record and into the postseason and some October baseball. So Kyle Schwarber is used to it. He talked about it yesterday, how he's only missed the playoffs one time in his 7 years in Major League Baseball. So he wants to bring that winning culture, that winning attitude into the clubhouse. And I think that was an important thing for the Phillies to do when they locked him up. It's neat how they ended up with Schwarber and Castellanos and both equal less than what Chris Bryant wanted. I thought Chris Bryant was such a great fit, Josh, because he can play so many positions. You can play him at third, first, left, center, DH, of course, if you need be. But when you get two for the price of one, I think that was a terrific move, two terrific moves for the Phils.
And the other thing is, I was telling people the other day, Rob, that, people were like, oh, they could have had Matt Chapman. I'm like, did you see what the Blue Jays gave up to get Matt Chapman? They gave 2 of the top 30 prospects in the MLB.com's pipeline list. Like, the Phillies don't have the kind of ammunition to, go get Matt Chapman. So, I give Dombrowski credit for doing something. I'm not a fan of this whole Odubel Herrera, Matt Vierling splitting time in center field. And, Alec Boehm already had another error in the game today in the spring training. It's like, all right, I guess this is what we're dealing with here.
They got 5 guys more suited for DH than
Yeah.
playing in the field, right? Hoskins, Schwarber, even Castellanos, Boehm.
Yeah.
You can even argue Didi's better off as a D. So they got a whole lot of DHs playing the field, and that could get problematic. Late inning defensive replacements, is that going to become a thing? I go back to, and I don't know if you can remember the 93 Phils, who had a platoon in left with Pete Incaviglia and Milt Thompson, a platoon in right with Jim Eisenreich and Wes Chamberlain. So a platoon at second base with Mariano Duncan and Mickey Morandini. So they had they had 3 regular platoons, and I think you can get away with that with Herrera and Matt Vierling in center field. But this is a team that's going to have to figure out how to overcome their defensive inadequacies, and I don't know if that's shifting this way, shifting that way, whatever they can do. But if you're putting up 6-7 runs a ball game, you're going to win a lot of them.
The problem is, Rob, is that almost everyone you just named from that 93 team is probably a better defensive player than almost any of the guys on the current Phillies. So
Milt for sure. Yeah, Milt Thompson was I still remember him leaping over the fence and snagging a home run during that season.
Jim Eisenreich, I always remember him having that one diving catch. I think it was like in the 8th inning of that one playoff game. And it's just like, it's like he doesn't make that diving catch. They may not win that game. So
yeah, that was a fun team to watch, man. And too bad they didn't win it all. But that was like in the peak of growing up as a Phils fan. And it's now I get to see them from afar, and I'm getting a little bit of some spring training. I've been there twice. I'll go tomorrow, but
nice.
It's different now. It's different now covering a team for the first time, going into opening day for the first time in 22 years. I won't be covering the Phillies going into opening day, so I get to sit back and enjoy it a little bit more than watching it from that perspective. I just wish they could have brought back my guy Freddie Galvis, man. I'm a Freddie guy, Josh, and I know he went to Japan. If you can pry him loose from the I forget the name of the team he's playing for out there, but if you can get him, there you go. There's your late inning defensive replacement at second, short, or third.
Yeah, Freddie would be a major upgrade in the infield, to say the least. But Rob, like you mentioned, you are fully on the NFL beat now with the Associated Press. So I want to start by asking you, I am so perplexed with this quarterback stuff because these stories that have been coming out over the last few days, it's painting a very mixed message for the NFL. Like, okay, the Browns said they want an adult at quarterback. Then they trade for Deshaun Watson, who has 22 civil charges against him. Baker Mayfield, the Panthers don't want him. But he's certainly better than Sam Darnold. He's better than Drew Lock in Seattle. He's better than Davis Mills in Houston. Like, to me, the worst thing about Baker Mayfield, he's got a lot of times is film progressive commercials. Like, I don't think he's a hard. He has the same number of playoff wins as Deshaun Watson. Matt Ryan goes to Indy because Indy didn't want Baker Mayfield. Wentz ends up in Washington. You almost wondered if Washington would rather have Wentz or Baker. I don't know. This situation with quarterback is so strange right now in the league.
Yeah, it is. And Matt Ryan ends up going to Indy, which I think is a nice fit for him. It's odd to see what's happened with Baker. And it's interesting to me why Cleveland would want to smear somebody and say they need an adult at quarterback when you put that out there, and clearly coming from the football team, like no one else is saying that about him, but high-ranking officials or other people within the organization, knowing full well you want to move on from the guy and try and maintain some sort of trade value. If you don't put that out there, if that narrative doesn't become right or wrongly what is now surrounding Baker Mayfield is the baggage that he's carrying, maybe you could have shipped him off somewhere already for some sort of second-day draft pick. And now they could probably most likely end up having to release Baker Mayfield. So I don't understand why some of these teams smear their own guys. A few weeks ago, Super Bowl Sunday, we heard coming out of Arizona how Kyler Murray is difficult and immature and selfish. And we've heard, of course, all of the stuff people anonymously say about Carson Wentz. There's never names attached to all of these, Josh.
Right.
Imagine that. There's never names attached to the smearing of Carson or Baker or Kyler Murray or any of these guys. It's always the anonymous sources who are smearing them. And it makes me wonder why NFL teams want to run their organization that way, but also why some people want to run with that in the media. Like, I question that sometimes. I know that if I want to use a quote like that from an anonymous source, I'm not allowed to at the AP. I'm just not allowed to. They will not allow me to write. Like, there has to be a reason why someone gives you something off the record anonymously that you want to use, and it can't be to smear someone else within the league, the organization, or anywhere. So it's a different journalistic world that we're living in right now.
Well, it also gets back to, you know as well as anybody, Rob, because of in the vomit media culture we live in, as I like to call it, there are some people, they just put stuff out there for clicks. They just want attention. They just want, people to click their website, go to their podcast, watch their TV show, whatever it may be, and for someone like me, I tell people all the time who listen to us on 97.3, I'm like, I don't have time for the vomit. There's people in places you want to listen to vomit. That's on you. But, I can't play along with that because I try to work with facts and information, which is why when this other story came out this weekend, Rob, about Jalen Hurts, I had to scratch my head because we haven't heard Deshaun Watson say anything yet about going to Cleveland. There's a lot of reporting out there about him going to Cleveland. And now there's this report floating around that Deshaun Watson didn't want to come to Philadelphia because he didn't want to take Jalen Hurts' job from him because him and Hurts are friends because they have the same QB coach. And I'm just like, where's this coming from? Like, where are people getting these ideas and reports from?
Yeah, and that's one there, right? That makes sense logically. You would think that they have a relationship, and because of that relationship, that's something he wouldn't want to do. But I think in terms of Deshaun not wanting to come to Philly, and to go back a little bit, Russell Wilson not having interest in Philly or in Washington, there are guys who have clout. And you saw clearly Deshaun Watson has clout, even though he's got all of these allegations hanging over his head, even though he's been out of the league for a year, to be traded to dictate where he goes and to get $46 million a year guaranteed, even if he's going to be suspended for 6-8 games or whatever. He's got clout. Russell Wilson's got clout. These are guys who aren't interested in Philly for other reasons. And I think word has been filtered throughout the NFL among players about the front office structure. And I know Howie just got a contract extension, and I don't bash Howie all the time. I think Howie's done a great job in some areas. He's the only general manager in franchise history to win a Super Bowl. So although people want to kill him for the draft and some of those egregious mistakes, he's been able to put together winning and successful teams. But there are some things that the front office has done as far as business, as far as we go back to the leaking of information that is misleading, that's false narratives, that's given to information brokers. I think Mike Sealski from the Inquirer used that term for some of the NFL insiders. They're more information brokers. They take information that's given to them from agents or team officials and just put it out there without investigating it. And I think a lot of people realize how the Eagles do that and go about their business. And it's just something that some guys don't want to be a part of, whether it's Russell, Deshaun. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. And I didn't even see that report about him not wanting to come in because I've heard it a lot. I didn't know that someone actually definitively reported it. I've heard other people mentioning it, throwing it out there, seeing if it'll stick. And I guess someone took it and ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was local guys, and I mean, some of them are pretty reputable guys, it started with John McMullen. He was the first one I saw put it out there, and then Brandon Lee Grouton kind of like doubled down on what he said kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because what you just said about people that want to come here echoes, because I just talked to Jason Avant earlier today, former Eagles wide receiver, and he pretty much said the same thing. He said that he thinks that guys don't want to come here like they used to years ago when Philadelphia was a destination. Javon Curse and all these guys, Asante Samuel, dudes were like, I want to go to Philadelphia. I want to play for Andy Reid. They're not doing that anymore. Allen Robinson said, I'll go to the Rams. There's that report out there that Robert Woods, the Eagles were one of the teams in on Woods, and Woods said, I'd rather go to Tennessee. Like, that didn't happen 15, 20 years ago, Rob, and now it's happening. And Jason Avant was saying earlier today to me, he said, that's a problem for the Eagles right now.
And Jason would know because he wasn't here so far long ago that he's that removed from this front office structure. Howie was here when Jason was here, and he knows he's got relationships with players, and word gets around and it filters. And I think that is one of the knocks against the Eagles. When I've talked to former players who were treated well here, guys who went out the door and were treated well, who don't like the way the organization operates sometimes. And there's so much more in depth that I can get to with this conversation. And I don't like to bash people too much, but I can tell you when Jason Avant says something like that, it's got a whole lot of merit to it. And it goes along with some of the things that I've heard from some of the former players who left here on good terms, who left here on their own terms, yet they still see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that was a little disconcerting to them and a turnoff to them. And players talk, Josh. Players talk to each other around the league. They share same agents. They share whether it's position coaches, quarterback gurus, or whatever it may be. And they talk to each other, and word like that filters.
The other thing is, and I took what Jason said, I kind of expounded upon it earlier. I want to ask you about it. To me, and I'm not saying Doug Peterson was perfect, so people might misconstrue what I'm going to say, but I think if Doug Peterson was still here, some people would look at the organization differently because there would be head coach stability. Sirianni is now the third different head coach in a 7-8 year period, from Chip to Doug to now Nick. And I think that, Doug has all these guys going to Jacksonville, and now they're throwing money out like crazy, obviously. But, Doug has a reputation as a player's coach, and people like him. Nick Sirianni's still kind of an unknown at this point. So there's a part of me that wonders, Rob, do people look at Philadelphia and say, that's the unknown? I don't want to deal with the unknown. I'd rather go somewhere where I know what the commodity of the coach is.
I don't know so much, Josh, about the coach anymore because Nick came in here and as a rookie head coach led the team to the playoffs. I know they weren't very good and they ended up 500, but yeah, and Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, so he's certainly got a lot of cachet, clout in the NFL. But I think when it comes to not wanting to come to Philly, it's more about the organizational, the front office stuff and the behind the scenes, more so than I would say if this was last year at this time, yeah, it was unknown because you don't know what kind of guy. Nick's a player coach. He's a guy they really like. They gravitate to. Yeah, I know the fan base and some media make fun of him for some of his analogies and the whole flower thing last year and all of that. But players like him. Players are willing to really, I wouldn't say necessarily already run through a wall for this guy, but they are on board with Nick, and they have been since he got here. So I don't think necessarily it has anything to do with Nick, but more so with Howie in that front office. And I don't know how that changes, man, because if you put together a winning team and you win a Super Bowl, people are going to want to be part of something special like that. But they really have to go. They have to get away from the negativity of being viewed as an organization that throws guys under the table.
He's Rob Maaddi, covers the NFL for the Associated Press. Follow him on Twitter at Rob Maaddi, all one word. Rob AADD for Maaddi on Twitter, and he's also the co-host of the Faith on the Field show, which you can hear here on 97.3 ESPN. Do you have the show lined up yet for this week?
Yeah, it's actually going to be Brian Dawkins, who's been a past guest. Last week had an opportunity, Josh, to come up north, spend some time in the Philly, South Jersey area, and we did an event together, a mental health and wellness event
Awesome.
with Doc at Octorara High School up in Chester County. And part of that conversation, Dawkins he was on fire. What a terrific speaker. We both had an opportunity to share, and it was just a great night, a great evening, much needed in that community where they've had some issues with mental health among some of their students. So that's going to be part of that whole conversation from last week will be played in this episode coming up on the weekend.
Faith on the Field, Saturday at 9 a.m., the rerun Sunday at 6:30 a.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, appreciate you jumping on today. Good talking to you.
Josh, thank you. Great job filling in for Mike this week.
I appreciate that. Yes, I am Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill, who's on vacation on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Sports Bash being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. Call Jenkins & Sons for heating and air conditioning, installation, service, and maintenance, plumbing, or drain cleaning service. Give them a call at 609-641-6262 or visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Josh Hennig here in the Matt Black Kia Studios on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Sports.
The first touchdown of DeVonta Smith's NFL career.
Scores.
The catch, the shot, the three, switch.
Updates.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
Hear about it as it happens and when it happens on 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing, approved credit excludes Corvette. It's time for March Markdowns at Bennett Chevrolet. All month long, Bennett's paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. No joke. You'll get at least $8,000 for any old rundown rot box. Just get it here for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. But this special offer is only during March Markdowns. Got a good trade? Bring it to Bennett. Hey, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett, because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker. And there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early. Any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Bring it in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation. Just pure Bennett bliss. Because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The number of people doing business online has skyrocketed since the pandemic hit last year. So it has never been more important than now to make sure your business can be found online. Town Square can help you find more local customers with premium website services to help you grow your business faster when you visit mylocalcustomers.com. Don't wait. Visit mylocalcustomers.com today to learn more about how Town Square can help you grow your business. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
What will you discover at Rider University? Endless possibilities. Join us on Sunday, April 24th at 10 a.m. for an in-person open house. You'll meet current students, tour campus, and grab a bite at our food trucks. At Rider, choose from 70-plus majors and gain hands-on experience through internships, fieldwork, and more. Your academic advisor and career coach will help you create a plan that brings your goals to life. And Rider offers guaranteed career support so you're prepared for what's next. Register today at rider.edu/open house.
I need 4 more of the biscuit carnitas, 2 burnt end platters, 3...
The kitchen at Kai's Barbecue is firing on all cylinders.
Greg, help me bring these to the pickup counter.
He needs food runners who can hit the ground quickly.
86 on the chicken and we're short-staffed. Let's pick it up.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Coach, we need to score. What's the call?
We're going to wing it. We're calling the pick.
The pick?
Yeah, the one, the only, the original Pick-a-Lily Inn to score some of South Jersey's best wings and homestyle favorites.
But, Coach, it's the middle of the game.
Pre-game, post-game, during the game, the pick's wings, tails, and ears are always the right call. They're right on Route 206 in Chemung, or check them out on Facebook. Now, who wants mild and who wants hot?
The Pick-a-Lily Inn.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can really control your savings. Because when you drive less, you save more with pay per mile. So you're really in control of your savings, only paying for the miles you drive. Yeah, life is good when you're in the driver's seat. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Norfolk, Illinois.
The NFL football season is over, and the winter of 2022 is coming to a close. We are rapidly moving toward two long-awaited dates. One, after February 26th, there are only 3 Saturdays left until spring, and on March 13th, we move our clocks ahead. Hi, Tom McAllister from McAllister the Service Company. These are annual milestones that set us on a path towards warmer weather and those hot summer days. Remember the end of last summer when you decided to put off upgrading your older, inefficient air conditioning system? Now's the perfect time to revisit that idea and take advantage of preseason discounts and also the rebates offered by the state and the utilities. Talk to the experts at McAllister at 609-927-4122 or at mcservice.com for all of your air conditioning and heating needs. McAllister, we cannot control the weather. We can control your comfort.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, tomorrow on the Sports Bash, your chance at the first shot at tickets to go see Amy Schumer in concert August 6th at Ocean Resort Casino in Atlantic City at Ovation Hall. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m., but you can get them first by winning them when you listen to the Sports Bash tomorrow right here on 97.3 ESPN. I'll be giving out tickets tomorrow, so tune in tomorrow for your chance for first shot at a pair of tickets to see the award-winning comedian, actor, director, producer Amy Schumer coming to Ovation Hall at Ocean Casino Resort Saturday, August 6th. Tickets go on sale this Friday, 10 a.m. at the OceanAC.com. Busy show today. Thanks again to everyone who tuned in, for all the texts, all the listeners' feedback. Thanks to Rob Maaddi for the Associated Press for doing the show Tuesday with Thompson, Jason Avant, Bryan Toporek from the NBA podcast, Phillies beat writer Frank Klose. We'll be back tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Jeff Mosher will be back football for Inside the Sixers with Paul Hudrick. All that and more coming up tomorrow. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill again tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
Drive to the rim, floater back. It's the Sweet 16 on 97.3 ESPN. Experience the madness of the NCAA tournament only on 97.3 ESPN. All the buzzer beaters. For the win! All the upsets and all the big moments. March Madness on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by
Resorts Casino Hotel, home to DraftKings Sportsbook. Visit resortsac.com.